Chapter 981, Taking in a Green Snake. Chapter 981, Taking in a Green Snake in a small town near God Emperor City. Corpses were everywhere, old people, children, women. The bustling town had turned into a dead town. Kill them all, burn them all, and steal their light. The triple light policy of the magic tribe. Within 3 years, the immortal domain had become a purgatory. It was no longer bustling and were now filled with refugees. In 3 years, the change was too great. Help! Help! A 12 to 13-year-old little girl whose hair was in a bun was scattered, her clothes torn apart, her snow-white skin exposed. She frantically ran out of a room, crying and shouting loudly. 4 demon dwellers rushed out from the house. Their eyes were filled with lust as they laughed. Even if you scream your throat off, no one will save you. Little girl, accompany us to have a good time. We will let you die without any pain. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The women of the immortal domain are like the water spirits. It's so refreshing. I heard that the God Emperor City has the most beautiful women, and there are also countless young and beautiful women. Just thinking about it makes me excited. OL3, take this little lowly down first. Today, I want to be the first one to break her place. This is my 100th place, a girl. Ha ha ha. The 4 of them were like 4 beasts. Their eyes lit up as they stared at the little lowly who was running towards the entrance of the town. They were not in a hurry as they slowly walked up with a teasing look. Little beauty, no one can save you in this world. I think you should just obediently obey us. Later on, you will experience the most wonderful feeling in the world. Just like the voice of a devil. The young girl's legs were trembling and her entire body was trembling. Her mind was blank. She only knew how to run, run, run. She only knew how to cry and shout, "Save me! The heavens save me!" Woohoo! Suddenly, she saw a person standing at the entrance to the town, a ragged, unkempt, unshaven man. But at least he was a human, not a demon dweller. The young girl's heart suddenly filled with a trace of hope. She rushed towards that person and said, "Save me! Save me!" He rushed to the man's side. The girl firmly grabbed his thigh and said, "Can you save me? I don't want to be tainted by them. I don't want to." Woo-woo. Tears welled up in his eyes. His eyes were full of pleading. Looking at her eyes, the man's heart ached. The 4 demon dwellers rushed up. The one of them sneered and said, "You stinky beggar, scram to the side. Don't ruin my plan. You dog, did my big brother not hear you when he was talking to you? I told you to scram. If you refuse a toast, you will be punished. From what I see, you must be tired of living." A demon dweller stepped forward. At this moment, the man with torn clothes looked at the young girl on the ground and helped her up. "With me here, no one will be able to harm you." At this moment, the demon dweller chopped towards the man's head. "Humph! You spoke so arrogantly, no one can hurt her? For a trash like you, I will kill over 100 of you every day." Ah! Seeing the huge blade descending, the young girl screamed and didn't dare to continue watching. Buzz! Crack! With a buzzing sound, the dagger in the demon dweller's hand was broken into 2 pieces by a strong power aura. The demon dwellers were terrified. Realizing that he had offended an incomparably powerful person, he slightly kicked his body and said, "Who are you? You know who we are? We are the first troops from the magic tribe, and you dare to ruin our plans, you—" Not waiting for him to finish, the man stretched out his 5 fingers and clenched them. Boom! The fiery aura was like a dragon, suppressing his throat. Kacha! His throat was broken. Instant kill. The system beep instantly sounded. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Magic Tribe for obtaining 3,000 experience, 100 power of celestial, and 10 energy values. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for not being able to complete the Magic Tribe's advance mission. Mission: extinguish the Magic Tribe's advanced troops level. S-time: 3 days reward. 2 million experience, 100,000 power of celestial, 10,000 points. Special reward for obtaining an S rank. Do you accept? Accept. Without waiting for the system beep to accept, Long Fei said the word, accept. Along the way, he saw the citizens who had escaped, saw the corpses, children, elders, and women who had starved to death on the road. Every single one of them touched upon his inner nerves. The Magic Tribe's army was even more tragic than Demon Beast. They weren't human at all. They were just a bunch of animals. The other 3 demon dwellers were scared silly. Even if they met the powerhouse, they would still be ruthlessly trampled upon and did not dare to resist. Now that they saw this beggar-like man, what kind of background did he have? The 3 demon dwellers didn't think too much and turned to run. The corner of Long Fei's mouth drew back, and he said lightly, "One person is enough to lead the way." With a slight shake of his right foot, a small stone flew up from the ground. Shwa! The stone spun and flew away. A bloody wound appeared on the necks of the 2 demon dwellers, and they fell to the ground. Blood gushed out of their throats, and they couldn't even scream. Ah! Ah! Help! Help! That demon dweller that didn't die was so scared that his face turned pale, and he started shouting. His expression was even more frightened than the young girl from before. Long Fei said to the girl slightly, "Escape." The girl shook her head as she looked at Long Fei, who was shaking his head and holding on to the corner of his clothes, not letting go. She felt safe by his side. The girl said, "Uncle, can I follow you?" "Take me with you. I can cook anything, wash clothes, and cook anything you want me to do. Please take me with you." While they were talking, the young girl was about to kneel on the ground, stopped by Long Fei. Long Fei said, "It's very dangerous to follow me." The girl said, "I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of any danger, as long as you leave me behind." Long Fei felt pity for the girl as he said, "All right, then follow me. What's your name?" The young girl said, "Uncle, you can call me Little Ching." "Little Ching." Long Fei muttered, "Then do you have a sister called by Swanjin?" The girl was stunned and asked in astonishment, "Uncle, how did you know? Were you sent by Big Sis to save me? Holy **T. Is that so? Little Blue, Green Snake?" Long Fei was a little stunned, looking at the young girl with a serious expression. This can't be true, right? Could it be that the sisters haven't finished their training? Xiaoqing continued to ask, "Uncle, do you know my elder sister?" Long Fei shook his head. "I don't." Xiaoqing's expression immediately became downcast as she replied, "Oh." Long Fei said, "I will bring you to find Big Sister in the future, but it is imperative that we do something else now." Chapter 982, I Am Your Ancestor. Chapter 982, I Am Your Ancestor trigger task. Then Long Fei would complete it. Moreover, he liked experience. Although he couldn't level up right now, he wasn't worried because he was enjoying the feeling of being able to level up multiple times in 1 second. Only then would he feel good. "Help! Help!" The demon dweller stammered as he fled, seeing Long Fei following him at a steady pace. It was as if he was being chased by the god of death. He had never been this scared in his life. Along the way, Xiaoqing recounted the events of the past 3 years. After the God Emperor Academy competition, the president of the 18 matrial halls fell, and the 8 fairy hall elder s fell. They all died in the hands of one person, and this person is called Long Fei. If it wasn't for him breaking the balance between a mortal domain and him, the Magic Tribe's army wouldn't dare to attack. But I feel that he's a hero. He did things that others didn't dare to do, broke the rules, and gave those arrogant people a harsh warning, letting them know that the God Emperor Academy isn't something that they can decide, and the palace question of God is the same as well. Long Fei looked at Xiaoqing, and his heart sank a little. Magic Tribe invasion. This was something that would happen sooner or later, but after he caused a ruckus in the God Emperor Academy, he made the army of the Magic Tribe carry it out in advance. It had to be said that he was the mastermind behind this disaster in the immortal domain. Following that, Xiaoqing then continued, Long Fei is really great. He has refined a pill that can change the fate of the gods' martial continent, giving every warrior and every commoner a chance to change their fate. He is really great. In just a few short years, the warriors of the gods' martial continent have risen to an extremely high realm. When warriors increased their strength, the Magic Tribe has also increased their strength too. Their rate of increase was even faster. The Nantion elixir also became a sharp weapon. A lot of people are blaming Long Fei, saying that he broke the balance in the gods' martial continent. But I feel that what he did was right. He did it for the sake of all the warriors in the gods' martial continent. No one can do it like that. And he can, so I really admire him. Xiaoqing's eyes revealed a passionate look of adoration. Long Fei's heart trembled again as he thought to himself, is it my fault again? He really hadn't thought about it. The power of the God Emperor Academy restricted the Magic Tribe. He had broken through, and the Magic Tribe was attacking the immortal domain. Nantion elixir going against the heavens and changing fate could cause every warrior to evolve and evolve, but the Magic Tribe absorbed the Nantion elixir even more quickly, and their transformation was even faster. Their powers became even stronger, and it was also because of this that they were able to advance the time for the Magic Tribe to attack the immortal domain once again. Am I wrong? Long Fei said to himself. Listening to Xiaoqing's words, his heart grew heavy. Regardless of whether he was right or wrong, the disaster in immortal domain was more or less caused by him. His heart tightened. Humph! I didn't think it would turn out like this. But Long Fei looked up into the sky. In the sky, there was the outer space palace. There was the palace question of God. He clenched his fists tightly and thought to himself, the palace question of God's strength can obviously stop the army of the Magic Tribe. And the Supreme God can obviously tie with the Master of Magic Tribe, but you just sit and watch. In your opinion, these commoners are all mortals, and you are all gods of the gods' martial continent. Since you do not act, then I'll take your place. Supreme God, just you wait. A ball of fire had been pressing down on Long Fei's heart since the moment he had been smashed into the Death Land. He could clearly avoid the tragic situation that had happened in the immortal domain, but the Supreme God had not done anything. They are gods. God does not care about mortals. They were high and mighty without worries. They only had cultivation in their eyes, so how could they worry about ants? Xiaoqing felt the anger emitted from Long Fei's body and said, Uncle, what's wrong? Do you also worship Long Fei? Sigh. Unfortunately, he fell. If he's still here, he definitely won't let the Magic Tribe's army barge in. He'll definitely think of a way to stop the Magic Tribe's army, but he's dead. Xiaoqing's expression was very gloomy. There were many warriors on the continent who were the same as her. Long Fei was a hero. He dared to challenge the God Emperor Academy, dared to challenge the palace question of God, dared to break the rules. Amongst the younger generation, many were excited by Long Fei and chose to work even harder in their cultivation. They treated Long Fei as their idol. Long Fei said indifferently, he's not dead, he's back. Xiaoqing was stunned. then said, "He's back? Who is he?" Long Fei did not answer. It was also at this time. The demon dweller suddenly stopped. His frightened expression was gone, replaced with excitement and a scornful sneer. Because behind him is a military camp, more than a dozen demon dwellers rushed forward. "Ha! You dog, you want to kill me? Let's see who will die today." Xiao Qing's expression changed, and she said, "Uncle, this is bad. This is the first camp of the Magic Tribe's army. We are surrounded." Her body trembled, and her heart was filled with fear. Long Fei laughed lightly. "You are wrong. They did not surround us. I surrounded them." As soon as he finished speaking, Long Fei's gaze turned cold, and killing intent started to surge from his body. "This is the advance army of the Magic Tribe." "Humph! Kid, you're right. You dare to kill our Magic Tribe. Today, you won't be able to escape." The demon dweller fiercely said, "Kill him." A dozen or so Magic Tribes raised their pikes and rushed towards Xiang Longfei. Long Fei moved his body, summoning his variation panther, and said, "Protect her well." Finished. Long Fei instantly disappeared. His figure blurred. A series of explosions rang out behind him. The dozen or so Magic Tribes who were charging forward were all instantly killed as the system beep sounded crazily. Long Fei landed on the demon dweller's body and laughed coldly. "You're wrong. It's you? Even if you had wings, you still wouldn't have been able to escape." The punch landed on the demon dweller's chest. The powerful force directly sent him into the army camp. Who dares to behave so wildly in the Magic Tribe? Dozens of Magic Tribes rushed out. Long Fei walked forward one step at a time and stood at the entrance of the forward camp. His voice sank as he roared out fiercely, "You bastards of the forward camp, get out here right now." The flames of fury soared to the sky. Boom, boom, boom. One demonic shadow after another rushed out of their tents. The entire advance camp had 18,000 warrior elites. General Shifeng, who led the troops first, held onto a long spear as his incomparably dense qi spread out. Standing in midair, he stared at Long Fei, who was at the entrance. His gaze darkened, and he shouted, "Who is this dog of yours? How dare you come and cause trouble with my troops? I think you're tired of living." Long Fei reached out with his hand again, summoning the dragon Salyer. He placed it on his shoulder, laughed coldly, and said, "I am your ancestor. Kill." Chapter 983, Myriad Demons / Chapter 983, Myriad Demons / Kill. Magic Tribe gushed out like a tide. Long Fei's body sank slightly as the corner of his mouth curled. He looked at the boss in the distance, revealed an excited smile, and said, "Come." The dragon Salyer descended. Buzz. The dense black dragon ancestor chi spread out. His steps felt like they were flying. Shwa. Sky Tyrant Strike. Long Fei's body sank, and like a cannonball, he smashed into the place most concentrated in Magic Tribe, directly sending those people flying. At the same time, the dragon Salyer in Long Fei's hands started to dance wildly. Dragon Chop. 1,000 slashes. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. *1 cut. 1 kill. Just like cutting cabbages. Before the 1,000 slashes were completed, all the Magic Tribes that were sent flying in the air had all died, blood flying everywhere. The moment Long Fei landed on the ground, the Magic Tribes surrounded him tightly. Long Fei's entire body was dyed red by the fresh blood, and he became even more excited. The fresh blood stimulated the killing intent in his mind. The power of blood fury skill surged, and a strong killing intent surged out. "Today, you can release it to your heart's content." Long Fei roared. A bloody light flashed in his eyes. Next, the murderous power in his mind began to surge. Kill them all. A general shouted, and all the magic tribe S rushed forward at the same time. Long Fei retracted his arms. Both of his fists exploded. The King Kong fury ape on his arms roared, and a powerful force burst out. Tap, tap, tap. Punch after punch. Every time it dealt a few 100,000 points' worth of damage. It would also be killed instantly. The system beat began to ring crazily. This sort of tempo was incomparably high, as though the heavens were being overturned. More and more magic tribes rushed out. But the number of warriors that fell out also increased. Both of their fists were tired of fighting. Long Fei's left hand and right hand crazily swept, leaving not even a single blade of grass behind. In just a few minutes, the corpses at the entrance of the advance camp had piled up like a mountain. Whoever offends the immortal domain will die. Long Fei let out a heavy roar. In the distance, Shao Qing looked at Long Fei, who was immersed in blood, and muttered, "In my heart, the #1 idol is Hero Long Fei. Uncle, I'm sorry, you can only be the second idol." Shifeng's eyes turned sinister. The more Long Fei killed, the more ferocious he became, and the more brutal he killed, his magic tribe army simply could not hold on. A mere golden immortal rank can kill 100 people, 1,000 people can't. But I don't believe that he can be the enemy of tens of thousands of people. You are not allowed to retreat. Kill them all. One day later, Long Fei was still killing. The entire forward battalion was already in a river of blood. Die. Boom. A magic tribe was crushed. The system sounded out. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Magic Tribe for obtaining 3,000 experience, 100 power of celestial points, 10 energy values, 10 points. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for slashing 10,000 times in a row. Do you wish to learn 10,000 slaughter? Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up his killing thought and obtaining the power of blood frenzy. When Long Fei consecutively killed 10,000 people, the system sounded out. For an entire day, Long Fei was like a machine operating at a high speed. He did not stop. Out of the 18,000 magic tribes, only 8,000 remained. Come again. Long Fei roared out, a thick blood shell covering his body. It was the same as blood-colored armor. Every single strand of his hair was congealed together by blood. He was like a blood demon, the killing intent and anger on his body intertwined together, making it impossible for him to get any closer. Shifeng growled and asked, "Who exactly are you?" "Do you know that our magic tribe will send out our troops first?" He could not understand. From the moment he embarked on his journey, he had been slaughtering his way through without encountering any obstacles. None of those God Emperor Academy S or S appeared. In his opinion, not even the God Emperor Academy dared to oppose them. No one in this world could block their way. No one could be their opponent. Thus, his advanced troops were even more unbridled. Killing, robbing, all sorts of crimes were committed. Everywhere they went, they were completely crushed. Today, he had been beaten senseless. He had no idea who this fellow was. Long Fei's mouth curved up as he stared at Shifeng, who was far away, and said, "Yesterday I told you this. I am your ancestor." "You're courting death." Shifeng was enraged. The three generals beside him all shouted at the same time. Without waiting for them to fall, the dragon salyer in Long Fei's hand swayed, raised it, and grinned excitedly. "I'll let you guys try out my new cultivation technique. 10,000 slaughter." Boom! A loud sound echoed in the sky. The souls of the 10,000 magic tribe, S. Long Fei, had slain were all in this blade. 10,000 slaughter. What he chopped at was a person. What he chopped at was his life. It's your soul that's being chopped off. Rumble. Half a second later, The 3 generals who had yet to land were instantly crushed into a bloody rain that fell from the sky. At this moment, the minds of the Magic Tribe-S who were still alive crumbled as they were completely unable to withstand the pressure and frantically escaped. He started shouting, terrifying. They had always been the nightmare of others, but they never thought that they would be scared as if they had seen a ghost today. You want to leave? Do you agree? The power of Celestial moved. After releasing the 200,000 pieces of power of Celestial, the center of Long Fei's brows tightened, and the aura on his body exploded outwards in a frenzy. As soon as his voice faded, the Earth Demon's body cultivation technique was released. Long Fei's aura swept up the 3 meters thick ground and quickly wrapped around the Magic Tribe like lotus petals. All of the Magic Tribe-S that wanted to escape were swept up, and only a few general-level powerhouse-S were able to escape. Rumble! The lotus coalesced. It made a muffled sound. More than 7,000 Magic Tribe-S were all swallowed by the great Earth at this moment. The system beep looked like it was about to explode. Ding, 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 ding. Berserk! Tens of thousands of thunderbolts roared. The rhythm was so good that it felt like flying. This explosion brought about tens of millions of experience points. Too awesome. However, at the same time that he felt great, Long Fei also became incomparably tired. After a day and night of killing, his physical strength had reached its limit. The massive technique the sandstorm used to bury him had consumed a great deal of his mental energy, and his body was on the verge of collapse. Shifeng floated in the air as he looked at Long Fei. His face was pale, and even his voice trembled as he said, "Who exactly are you?" Indeed, even 20,000 people killing Long Fei was a little hard to bear. If it was an army of 1,000,000 men, no matter how powerful a person was, they would probably find it hard to resist. Brat! As soon as he finished speaking, Shifeng threw the spear in his hand towards Xiang Longfei. Shua! A series of sounds echoed in the air. He locked onto the center of Long Fei's brows. If he had been hit by this spear, Long Fei's head would have exploded. Chapter 984. Holy Equipment, Holy Artillery. Chapter 984. Holy Equipment, Holy Artillery. A spear shot out. Space itself shattered. Shifeng was a powerhouse of the first stage of the Yuan Xian. The moment the mark was released, the corner of Shifeng's mouth revealed a pleased and cold smile. Brat, go and die? Long Fei's forehead turned sinister and faintly said, "Giant demon attack." He was completely exhausted and did not have the strength to fight against Shifeng anymore. After a day and a night, coupled with the fact that he had exhausted his grave from the sand tempest spirit power, he was completely exhausted and did not have any extra strength to fight against Shifeng. He did not want to continue playing with Shifeng either. Buzz! His left arm was coiled with the power of seal runes, and he was holding a large hammer condensed from chains in his right hand. Without waiting for Shifeng's reaction, he smashed the club down with a pa-ji sound. Shifeng became a puddle of meat. He had no ability to resist at all. It was also at this moment, the long spear, that Shifeng shot into Xiang Longfei's brain. In that instant, Zhongyagol body. Buzz. Long Fei instantly turned into an invincible state. The javelin did not suffer any damage at all. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 3,600 experience, 24,000 power of celestial, 10 energy values, and 10 points. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Holy Source Divine Spear. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Master of Magic Tribe's secret letter. Before the system beep finished ringing, Long Fei said, "Ancestor, keep this spear for me. I want to give it to Sister Bao." Long Fei glanced at the attribute of the Holy Source Divine Spear and immediately said in his heart, "The leopard girl will definitely like it." And then the system beep sounded again. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for clearing the Magic Tribe's Army 1st Battalion. The reward is 2 million task reward experience, 100,000 power of celestial points, and 10,000 points. Ding! The system begins to score. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining an S-level score, obtaining a special reward. The reward is Holy Artillery. The system beep descended. Long Fei was a little confused. He didn't find it strange to reward anything, but Holy Artillery, hot weapon, what's going on? Long Fei immediately became nervous. Hot weapons, technology in the future, how intrepid of a being is that? If I could bring some nuclear bomb or laser cannon over to a foreign world, would I still be able to go out and level up? He locked onto a mountain range. A cannon shot out. All of the demon beast in the mountains had died, and they still had to go out to level. He didn't need to use it at all. Moreover, this was the most basic of existence. If he could have powerful technology in the future, such as the Transformers, the Alien, or a starship, that would be great. Could it be that the thermal weapon system has been activated? It can't be. Long Fei was really excited. Even in his dreams, he wanted to bring his firearms to a foreign world and use a missile to lock down Outer Space Palace. They directly sent Supreme God and the others to the west. How wonderful it was. With this excitement, Long Fei opened the system to take a look. Item: Holy Artillery Grade. Sacred Level Attributes. Hot Weapon Description: swallowing the power of the immortal crystal, converting it into super artillery shells to unleash the power of the divine martial arts. With a range of over 10,000 kilometers, its lethality surpasses 10 stars. Gudong! Looking at the simple stats of Holy Artillery, Long Fei swallowed hard. He was so excited that he did not want it. I'm going to release the Holy Artillery, the power of the divine martial realm, an existence whose killing power surpasses 10 stars. This is too powerful. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Long Fei laughed wildly. The Holy Artillery was mighty and domineering. At the same time, Long Fei opened the system to look at the other item in the Master of Magic Tribe's secret letter. Reading the contents of the letter, Long Fei's brows tightly locked together. The million-strong army will arrive in God Emperor City within 10 days. This is my last attack on the immortal domain, my last attack on you all. A million-strong army. Long Fei frowned. 10 days. He received this letter for at least 2 days, which means that I still have 8 days to prepare. God Emperor City. God Emperor Academy. Long Fei started to worry. He didn't know what the current God Emperor City looked like after 3 years of separation. Was Fu Shishan and the others still in the God Emperor City? A million-strong army. Not 10,000, 20,000, but an entire million elite warrioress. Their strength was even stronger than the combined Immortal and Immortal Realms powerhouses, and Yun Che was willing to defend against them all by himself. No matter what, we cannot let the Magic Tribe's army break through the God Emperor City. Long Fei's heart sank. He knew in his heart, if the immortal domain was broken, then the Western Devil Lord would have a monstrous hatred toward the Long family. The next target would be the Nantian region, and even the immortal domain would not be able to stop him, let alone the Nantian region. He had to stop the Master of Magic Tribe's army. And then Long Fei moved. Hellcore, listen up. Ha! 1,000 Hellcore among the death-calling god seals stood in front of Long Fei and shouted in unison, "Boss!" 3 years' time. Hellcore had swallowed all of the immortal crystals, fairy stones S and variant crystal nucleu S that Long Fei had dropped. Furthermore, all of their cultivations had increased. The highest level Yin soldier cultivation had already broken through to the Yuan Xian realm, and the lowest was only at the 5th level of the Golden Immortal stage. They can now play for up to 10 days. Long Fei said, "Find the Magic Tribe army for me. Immediately, I want to know their coordinates and location. I want to know their movements and movements. Go and investigate immediately." "Yes, sir." Hell Corps scattered in all directions. Long Fei was not worried that they would not return like Lang Qianli, because their loyalty to Long Fei had already reached 100%. They could not leave Long Fei, and only Long Fei could give them more. And then Long Fei entered the 18th level of hell and asked, "Lei Mo, how is the release of the earth-binding seal on you?" Lei Mo's eyes slightly closed and said slightly, "Boss, give me another day's time." The earth demon muttered, "You are really a weak chicken. I will release all of your earth power in one day. It's too trashy. Boss, when are you going to release the seal of fire on me?" The corner of Lei Mo's mouth lifted as he gently laughed and said, "The entire seal has been unlocked. I want to break through the shackles within one day." Long Fei said, "I will do my best." Lei Mo was very critical. Because he was an AoE monster, Long Fei needed a monster that dealt large amounts of damage. The million-strong army was unstoppable. Long Fei had to prepare everything. An army of 1,000,000 soldiers. How much experience is that? If I kill them all by myself, then I really will fly into the sky. Long Fei was extremely excited. This was a challenge to him, and also an opportunity. He had to grasp it firmly. Go to God Emperor's city. Long Fei climbed onto the Black Panther and pulled Little Green up, then quickly rushed to God Emperor's city. He had to know the current situation of God Emperor's city. Chapter 985. All come. Chapter 985. All come. Everyone in the God Emperor's city felt themselves to be in danger. The former glory of God's Martial Continent's first city no longer existed. The streets were crowded with refugees. The huge God Emperor city became a huge refugee camp. God's Phoenix Pavilion. In the backyard, Fu Shishan's face tensed up. This was the biggest thing she had done so far. Once they did, the result would be war. Her heart was not prepared for this, because she was always worried about one person, Long Fei. Long Fei was her backbone. It was unknown whether she was dead or alive, so she was not confident. However, the Magic Tribe army rushed over. The God Emperor Academy joined forces with the Divine Emperor to plunder God Emperor City's resources frantically. The peddlers crumbled, the prices expanded, the entire economy of the God Emperor City crumbled, and it was still deteriorating. As the leader of the immortal domain, they ignored him and indulged him. The current immortal domain was no different from hell. If they did not resist now, they would die in silence. Qiu Wandao said, "Don't worry, everything has been prepared. The palace question of God does not dare say just the God Emperor Academy, and the Divine Emperor alone will not be able to stop it. I am afraid." He was afraid that the palace question of God would suddenly attack him. If that was the case, then all these years of preparation would simply be insufficient. Dao Ba said, "They're giving it their all. What are they afraid of?" A head that cannot be cut off is a bull-sized scar. 18 years later, he will be a good man again. The boss said before that if you don't accept it, I will F***K you up. Dao Ba said fiercely. At this moment, Fu Tianlong ran into the backyard in a hurry and said, "Coming." Fu Shishan frowned. The black box on the black knife's back suddenly opened, and a long saber fell into his hands like an azure dragon crescent moon. The blade spirit made an explosive buzzing sound as the battle intent on his body ignited like flames. Dao Ba excitedly said, "Finally here." Everyone became excited. 3 years' time. They had been bullied by the God Emperor Academy for 3 whole years, and all of them thought of revenge. They were finally going to make a move today. Fu Shishan calmed down and said faintly, "Everything is going according to plan. Remember, you must not panic." After Fu Shishan finished speaking, he walked with large strides to the front hall. At this time, that fairy hall elder brought 2 disciples and entered the god's phoenix pavilion. Watching Fu Shishan walk out of the backyard, he lightly smiled and said, "Ha ha, Pavilion Master Fu, you have become prettier again after not seeing you for a few days. How was my suggestion last time? As long as you agree to be my concubine, when the 2 of us join hands, the entire God Emperor city would be ours." "Don't worry, I will definitely satisfy you." Fairy Hall Elder laughed obscenely, her eyes staring straight at Fu Shishan's chest. The twin peaks were too enticing. Fu Shishan's gaze turned cold, and he laughed coldly. "Is that what you came here to tell me? Please show some respect." "TCH, do you really think of yourself as a pure saint? Don't try to act cool in front of me. I think you're just a trash who doesn't care about face at all." If that's the case, the Fairy Hall Elder's gaze turned sinister as he asked, "How are the preparations for the 10,000 immortal crystals? If you don't take it out today, God's Phoenix Pavilion will be removed from God Emperor City." How arrogant! Extremely savage. He looked extremely proud of Fu Shishan. Fu Shishan replied, "I am naturally prepared with the elder's instructions. To Fengyuan Business Alliance, 10,000 immortal crystals is still enough." Fu Shishan took out a space ring and said, "There are 10,000 immortal crystals inside." Fairy Hall Elder's eyes turned cold, his expression shocked. He never thought that Fu Shishan would actually be able to take out 10,000 immortal crystals. Moreover, it only took 3 days. One must know that 10,000 immortal crystals was an astronomical number. Even if there was an immortal crystal mine, it would be impossible to mine it within 3 days. Seems like I have still underestimated the wealth of the Fengyuan Business Alliance. Within 3 years, the Fengyuan Business Alliance had annexed the Pan clan and used the influence of the Nantian Elixir S to earn the money of the entire God's Martial Continent. It could be said, the Fengyuan Business Alliance's wealth could take up half of the God's Martial Continents, and this did not even include the super big gift that Fu Shishan had prepared for him. 10,000 immortal crystals wasn't a problem. Fairy Hall Elder was a little unhappy in his heart. He didn't come here for the immortal crystals today, but for some other reason. He looked at Fu Shishan and said, Pavilion Master Fu, I was wrong just now. The price I want is 50,000 immortal crystals. Take it out." The lion gave an exorbitant price, 10,000 to 50,000. Fu Shishan's brows shook and said, "Aren't you going too far? Yo, you're angry? You look so angry, but it really has a different flavor to it." Fairy Hall Elder laughed obscenely and said, "I am just going too far. What can you, Fu Shishan, do to me? Do you want to go against my God, Emperor Academy? Do you want to go against my palace question of God? Fu Shishan, you have to consider your own abilities. You think you're worthy?" His voice was full of vigor. Clearly, he had come today to cause trouble. She still wanted to endure it for one more time and wait for Long Fei for a few more days, but she couldn't endure it any longer now. "You must have 50,000 crystal cores." "Definitely." The Fairy Hall Elder sneered. He was not afraid when he saw Fu Shishan's cold eyes, but he suddenly took a step forward and whispered into Fu Shishan's ear, teasing, "Do you think that your man is my opponent? Do you think I brought 2 people with me today? As long as you can't take out 50,000 immortal crystals today, you and those people in the backyard will all die." At this moment, Yunner, who was in the backyard, suddenly said, "Daddy, there's an expert." "So many experts." "Yes, there is. There is also the powerhouse of the fitted realm. The faces of the people in the backyard all turned pale. They had thought of the appearance of the Yuan Xian's, but they did not expect the powerhouse of the fitted realm to appear. Their hearts felt as if they were going to die, and they were firmly crushed at this moment. Powerhouse at the Yuan Xian realm were not afraid, but a powerhouse of the fitted realm. They weren't a match at all. Fu Xishan's body started to tremble. She had also realized that the God Emperor Academy would definitely not let him go so easily this time, and she looked at the Fairy Hall Elder and asked, "What do you want?" The Fairy Hall Elder smirked and said, "Accompany me for one night. We can discuss the matter of the immortal crystals." Cluck, cluck. Fu Xishan gritted his teeth, which made a cracking sound. Fairy Hall Elder grabbed the beauty's chin with one hand. His face was filled with a lewd smile. "Pavilion Master Fu, how is it? Give me your body. I will let your Fengyuan Business Alliance live for a few more days." At this moment, in the backyard, Yunner's forehead tightened. What a familiar aura. "If you dare touch Sister Yunshan, I'll kill you." A violent loli was standing at the entrance of the God's Phoenix Pavilion. Next, Man Tuolyuo walked over. Dao Feng walked over. Han Shueji walked over. Song Qianqian, Fat Men Chun, Ling Long, Wang Qingshan, and the rest all entered the God's Phoenix Pavilion one by one. It was also at this time a familiar cold voice rang out from afar. "Kill." Chapter 986, Galen S. Instant Kill. Chapter 986, Galen S. Instant Kill. The voice seemed to come from hell itself. It was extremely cold. It carried the tone of a death god. When the word kill came out, the entire God's Phoenix Pavilion felt like it had turned into a purgatory. Everyone looked at him. In front of the leopard stood a ragged man. The man had a beard, and his face was full of filth, like a refugee in the wilderness. It was impossible to see his appearance, but his body was emitting an aura that they were very familiar with. Who is he? Everyone was thinking about that. The Fairy Hall Elder's gaze turned cold as he stared at the man slowly walking over. He sneered and said, "These days there really are all kinds of people. You know who I am? Kill me? Do you want a rebel? A bunch of useless bums." Not waiting for him to finish, the man suddenly disappeared. In the next second, he was standing in front of Fairy Hall Elder, staring at him with eyes filled with killing intent, his voice cold. "I am killing your palace, question of God." He spread out his 5 fingers. He threw a palm attack, using force at close range. It was too fast. The Fairy Hall Elder didn't have time to react at all. His chest sank, and his body caved in. The powerful force exploding on his body caused him to be thrown out of the God's Phoenix Pavilion. Before he even landed, the man's figure disappeared again. "While he's sick, take his life." In 3 years, Long Fei had matured a lot, and the advancement in killing path had made him understand how to kill more decisively. This damned man would never give him the slightest chance. Shwa! In midair, he clasped his fists. Roar! The demon beast roared in the air as it used both of its fists to form a battle axe and slashed down heavily. Crack! The Fairy Hall Elder heavily knelt on the ground and faced the God's Phoenix Pavilion. The kneecap broke and kowtowed heavily, causing its head to crack and blood to flow all over the ground. It did not move at all. It was dead. He died in 2 moves. The system beeped. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Fairy Hall Elder for obtaining 30,000 experience, 700 power of celestial points, and 10 energy values. Congratulations to the player Long Fei for obtaining 199 immortal crystals. Long Fei landed and looked at God's Phoenix Pavilion. The people of God's Phoenix Pavilion were a little dazed. They looked into Long Fei's eyes. Looking at the dead, Fairy Hall elder on the ground. Everyone was extremely shocked in their hearts because these were the two moves of this strange man. Yet this man was so familiar to her, especially those eyes. Suddenly, Fu Tianlong's face changed greatly as he looked towards the distant streets. Incredible! They're here! They're here! Everyone's here. People of the God Emperor Academy. Everyone from the Divine Emperor Empire dared to come, and the leader of these people was a super powerhouse of the fitted realm. Everyone's eyes turned cold, but there was no fear in their eyes. It was also at this time Yuna rushed out from the backyard, pouncing straight towards Xiang Longfei. She was incomparably happy and said, "Big brother Longfei." And at this moment, "Boss, Longfei, young Master Long." In an instant, they all became excited. In 3 years of time, they really couldn't recognize the appearance of Longfei, who had changed from a somewhat immature youth to an unshaven uncle. Furthermore, compared to the aura from 3 years ago, the aura on Longfei's body had changed too much, so many that they thought they were strangers. Longfei grinned and laughed lightly. "All of you are back." When Longfei saw them standing in front of him, one by one, the excitement in his heart could not be described with words. The goddess had not lied to him. He felt indescribably excited in his heart. Fat Man Chen said excitedly, "Boss, where have you been all these years?" Looking at Longfei's tattered clothes, his unshaven beard, and the extra scars on his body, Song Qianqian could not hold it in. Mantuoluo was the same as Ling Long, tears gushing out from her eyes. Longfei laughed. "Of course I went to a good place. It's just that I haven't bathed for a long time." He said it in an understatement. However, they all knew in their hearts that Longfei had suffered greatly in these past 3 years. It was more painful than any of them. Looking at the man in front of them, their hearts ached. Boom! A powerful voice blasted down. "Who is it that dares to touch the elders of our palace question of God? Today, even if he has 9 lives, it will still not be enough." Whoosh, 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 asterisk, whoosh, 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 asterisk, whoosh, 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 asterisk, over 1,000 guards surrounded God's Phoenix Pavilion. The aura of the fitted realm was frantically being released by the Fairy Hall elder in the lead, suppressing everything in the surroundings. The corners of Longfei's mouth hooked up as he walked forward without repressing the pressure from the immortal powerhouse in the slightest, and said, "That's me." It was also at this time the divine armor on Qin Tianfei's body shook. He took a step forward and said, "And me too, and us." As they stood up one by one, everyone from God's Phoenix Pavilion began to fight, standing in a row with Longfei. Their aura was ferocious and valiant, giving people a kind of incomparably strong visual impact, forming a powerful chi, directly blocking the pressure of the fitted realm. Savage, just like a group of bandits. Longfei laughed excitedly. What? He was extremely arrogant. No one had ever dared to speak to an elder of the palace question of God like this in all these years. An elder growled, "You dog, you dare to be arrogant in front of us. You are courting death." As soon as he finished speaking, the elder charged forward. Longfei did not move. Fat Man Chen took a step forward and said, "I'll do it." The strength of the holy armor fairy vein on his body moved. His defense turned into an attack, blocking in front of Longfei. Bounce! Bang! Fat Man Chun was motionless. The elder was immediately flung into the air, disappearing from sight. As for where he had bounced off, even the ghosts did not know. Longfei looked at Fat Man Chun and said faintly, "Sure." Just at that moment, the other elder moved his sword and attacked Xiang Longfei. Buzz! The sword spirit's voice. The sword spirit on Aoya's body stabbed out, followed by 3 more insight into sword method attacks. Break! Bang! The elder retreated after being heavily injured. Following that, I think you all are tired of living. You want to oppose our palace question of God. All of you must die. The three elders moved at the same time, their formidable strength crushing down onto him. At such a close distance, their strength was simply unstoppable. It was also at this time. Song Qianqian took a step forward. Xiao Ying took a step forward. Man Tuoluo took a step forward. Song Qianqian's ice-cold voice sounded out. Die! The three of them attacked at the same time. Bang, bang, bang. The three elders were sent flying 100 meters away, crashing to the ground like dead dogs, not moving at all. 3 years' time, they all became stronger. Long Fei looked at them, his heart exceptionally happy. The fitted realm elder stared at Long Fei and asked, "What is your name?" Long Fei smirked and said, "Long Fei." Chapter 987. You can't escape this time. Chapter 987. You can't escape this time. In these 3 years, no one dared to disrespect the God Emperor Academy. No one dared to resist the palace question of God. In the God Emperor city, they were gods, the masters, and no one dared to resist. But today, so what if it was the divine emperor? So what if you're a God Emperor Academy? The clan elders of the palace question of God were as good as dead. Thus, the fitted realm elder had only asked one question. "Who are you?" When he heard the 2 words, Long Fei, his body faintly shivered, and his forehead turned sinister. He stared at Long Fei and said, "Impossible! Long Fei has already been killed by the Supreme God, and he can't possibly still be alive. No one who was beaten up in Death Land could escape." It was also impossible for Long Fei. Long Fei looked at the shocked Fairy Hall elder and said, "Return and tell Supreme God to wash his, but clean. Tomorrow I will cripple his chrysanthemum. Now scram!" 3 years' time. He must take revenge. When he returned to the God Emperor city, the first thing he did was to blow the hell out of the Supreme God. Although he wasn't confident, he had to do it. "How dare you!" The moment the fitted realm's elder became angry, the aura on his body started rolling around like a raging ocean. The guards behind him were all blasted away. Fitted realm, one with 10,000 forces. This kind of power could only be unleashed by the fitted realm. One could fuse a type of power with 10,000 different types of power and cultivate it to the peak of the realm. This was the power of the fitted realm. Long Fei was almost unable to bear it. His body trembled. The power of the fitted realm was too dense. "Kid, even if you come back, so what? Golden immortal rank. Then you have to kneel down." In his fury, the combined power of Celestial on his body created enormous waves over 30,000 meters, heavily smashing onto Xiang Longfei. At the same time, his figure moved and slapped Xiang Longfei's head with a palm as he howled out in a heavy tone, "Die!" His strength was incomparably violent. Fat Menchen blocked the attack with a step, but Long Fei pulled him back. He smiled and said, "Is your fitted realm awesome? Is your palace question of God awesome? Huh. I'll see just how amazing you are." Galen! The great sword killed him in an instant. Without saying a word, Long Fei summoned Galen straight away. He did not want to waste time with him. So Long Fei did not have much interest in this little boss, but some people just like to be despicable, and if you don't F***K in the future, he will not know that you are his father. Long Fei ran over to ask him to deliver a message to the Supreme God. However, since he likes to be lowly, then he might as well go to hell. The fire had started. Death Knight, Galen dropped from the sky. Other than that, a beam of Demacia justice descended from the sky, and like a laser beam, it bombarded the head of the Hsien powerhouse. Ha! Galen roared. The Hsien powerhouse immediately disappeared from his original location. It vanished into thin air. A damage figure floated above his head. 1203892231. It was more than 100 million points of critical damage. How powerful was this? The 6 Infinity Sword-S were brainless, and violent. Long Fei became excited and said, "Damn it, this is awesome." Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Fairy Hall Elder for obtaining 120,000 experience, 10,000 power of celestial points, 10 energy values points. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Immortal Crystal 321. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining a special reward. The reward is Holy Artillery. Huh. Another Holy Artillery. Long Fei's heart trembled. He was secretly excited. Holy Artillery, this kind of thing, was the better. Right now, he needed this kind of hot weapon, and he had even used the energy of the immortal crystals to release the cannonball. When will he be able to test his power? Long Fei wanted to know its power. Saint Artifact. What level of power did it reach? The system's description stated that it dealt over 10 stars of damage, but he had never seen anything like that before. Galen, go back. Long Fei withdrew his idea and summoned Galen back. At this moment, Fat Men Chun was stunned. The people behind Long Fei were all dumbstruck. Even a powerhouse of the fitted realm was killed in an instant. How powerful was this? That great sword technique was the judge's work for the Yama King. With one big tick, you were going to see the King of Hell. It was too terrifying, afraid that they wouldn't even dare to move. Long Fei did not continue to kill. He needed people now. They needed someone to fight against the Magic Tribe's army. His current manpower was simply insufficient. An army of 1,000,000 soldiers, not just a few hundred or even 1,000. Once the power of such an army erupted, even the gods and ghosts would not be able to withstand it. Right now, the only line of defense for Immortal Domain was that of God Emperor City. Once it was breached, the Immortal Domain would sink into hell and become a river of blood. None of this is the point. With the hatred the Master of Magic Tribe had towards the Long family, he would definitely attack them. This was what Long Fei was worried about. Thus, Immortal Domain absolutely cannot fail. Long Fei's voice sank, and he said, "If you want to go against me, Long Fei, die." All of you are well aware of what I did 3 years ago. Now I'm back. If you are still warriors and you know why you cultivate, and if you still know that you are from the Immortal Domain and that you still want to protect this city, then pick up the weapons in your hands and prepare to fight against the Magic Tribe's army. Let's go and think about it when we get back. Long Fei did not kill them. He needed the power of Celestial, and the more he killed, the stronger the power would be. However, he was not a killing machine, and in these 3 years, he had learnt to control himself. What he wanted was the life of the Supreme God. The guards looked at each other in dismay, then said heavily, "Many thanks for not killing me." Following that, they slowly withdrew from the room. The Fat Mention did not understand, so he asked, "Boss, why did you let them go?" "These people are all the tumor of the God Emperor City, evil bullies, relying on their status to do everything they can to kill these scum." I say, indeed, although it was not as bad as Fat Menchun had said, it was more or less the same. Long Fei had killed 2 Fairy Hall Elder-S in a row, and from the immortal crystals that burst from their bodies, Long Fei knew that these people were extremely rich and that all the money they had was taken from their bodies. Long Fei said, "We'll talk about it when we get back." "You're finally back," Palace Question of God. Within the Supreme God's secret room, looking at Long Fei, who was reflected in the great void mirror, he excitedly laughed. "It's been 3 years, 3 years. I've endured too much pressure. Boy, it's all because of you, and now you've finally returned." 3 years was a very difficult 3 years for Long Fei and the others. It was the same for his Supreme God. because for the past 3 years, he had been constantly enduring the crushing pressure of Grand Elder Gu Tongtian. This master of his had completely changed. It became violent and bloodthirsty. Of course, this was all because his lifespan was only 2 years away, and Long Fei's disappearance caused him to feel extremely uneasy. Now that Long Fei has returned, the corner of Supreme God's mouth slightly hooked up. I regretted not killing you back then, but this time, you won't be able to escape. Chapter 9, 88, Joint. Chapter 9, 88. Joint time was changing. Everything was changing. The human heart was also changing. These 3 years were a type of torture for Supreme God because Gu Tongtian continuously pressured him. He clenched his teeth and endured. Anyone who succeeded in making a big deal out of this would have to tolerate the pressure of an ordinary person. He endured everything, was to wait for Long Fei's return. If Long Fei died, Gu Tongtian's last hope would be shattered. Then he could only wait for his death. 3 years. For a whole 3 years. The Supreme God had been waiting for Long Fei to come out of the Death Land all the time. The stronger the pressure Gu Tongtian exerted on him, the more hatred he had towards Long Fei. At the same time, at Western Dessel territory, in the Blood Sea Pool. This was a blood sea pool that was created with the blood of millions of virgins. In the center of the blood pool, the blood lotus Zen sat on top of it. Master of Magic Tribe stared at it, and his entire person became excited in an instant. What did you say? The kid from Long family is not dead yet. Ha ha ha. Master of Magic Tribe started to laugh crazily. The blood in the blood sea started to boil and surge. The sound he made was stirred up. The vengeful spirit was trembling in fear and started to moan in fear. It's good that he didn't die. It's good that he didn't die. If he didn't die, he could open the... It was the same for Western Devil Lord. His lifespan was also coming soon, and to a powerhouse of the flying fairyland, there was nothing more terrifying than the fact that his lifespan was running out. Everyone was afraid of death. The more powerhouse he was, the more he was afraid of death. Flying fairyland, 500 years of life. Unless you transcend tribulation and leap, no one can break through the shackles. Passing the tribulation and rising, fighting the heavens. Countless of powerhouse-s were turned into ashes by the heavenly energy. In 10 million years, no one in the gods' martial continent had succeeded who could fight against the heavens. No one. If the heavens wanted you dead, even God would not be able to stop you. Thus, from beginning to end, they had never once thought of transcending heavenly tribulation. They had never stopped searching for secrets of longevity. Dragon race, a powerful race from another realm. Their lifespan was not restricted by the laws of the gods' martial continent. They had unparalleled physical bodies with lifespan that was inexhaustible even after millions of years. This was a legend that had been passed down for millions of years. To others, it might be a legend, but to a high-ranking powerhouse like Gu Tongtian, it was not a legend, but rather their lifesaver, something that was also a fact. As long as Open Secret Realm could find the art of immortality, then they could have an unlimited lifespan and live on forever. There was nothing more tempting than being alive. As long as he was alive, give up on anything. Western Devil Lord laughed excitedly. Old demon, let's do it like we said before. In the void, a big face said with a light smile, the secret world that leads to immortality has me and you. We will be the strongest people in the gods' martial continent for the past 10 million years. Western Devil Lord also laughed loudly. Ha ha ha. Long Fei is back. Have you heard? Long Fei returned after disappearing for 3 years. fighting against God Emperor Academy, beheading the principal of 18 matrial halls in anger, and killing 8 Fairy Hall Elder S. Long Fei is a hero in my heart. After Long Fei, there will never be another God Emperor Academy, and it will be the same for Palace Question of God as well. Long Fei gives us ordinary warriors hope. The Nantion elixir has changed our fates. I want to follow him. I'll go too. Me too. In the streets and alleys, the entire God Emperor city was talking about Long Fei. Long Fei, who had disappeared for 3 years, once again returned to the God Emperor city. These 3 years, God Emperor Academy had pained everyone and no longer had the spirit of the first academy. God Emperor Academy was like a brutal monarch, constantly crushing everything in his path. All of immortal domains, large and small families, all of the sects, had to provide their services. These 3 years, the God Emperor Academy was hateful to others. Long Fei's appearance ignited a trace of hope in their hearts. The horn of rebellion was about to blow. God's Phoenix Pavilion. All the streets and alleys are talking about you. Right now, tens of thousands of warriors are gathered outside of God's Phoenix Pavilion. They are all here to rely on you. Fu Tianlong was extremely excited. In these 3 years, it was his happiest day, and he had never been as happy as he was now. Fu Shishan said slightly, "This is only the first day, and is still in the God Emperor city. In a few days, more and more people will come to rely on you. Long Fei, you are their hero in their hearts. Everyone is waiting to attack the God Emperor Academy to overthrow their tyrant." Everyone was looking forward to it. Everyone in the courtyard was excited as they looked at Long Fei with anticipation. They were waiting for Long Fei's order. As long as Long Fei gave the order, they would be the first to rush towards the God Emperor Academy, crushing all the lofty and insufferable elders and principal into pieces. Long Fei chewed on the big pig leg without saying a word. Fu Shishan continued to speak. "Long Fei, we had been preparing for the past 3 years that you had disappeared, and every single warrior in the gods' martial continent knew that it was you who had changed their fates. As long as you give the order, I believe that I can summon tens of thousands of warriors to your side and attack the God Emperor Academy without worrying at all. What's more," Fu Shishan was a little agitated as he said, "in these past 3 years, we have groomed a total of 100,000 death soldiers, and now we have enough strength to overthrow the God Emperor Academy." They had been preparing for 3 years. From the day Long Fei disappeared, Fu Shishan had been preparing for his return. This day had finally come. Long Fei was startled when he heard about the 100,000 death warriors, a trace of hope igniting in his heart. He put down his pig leg and looked at the people around him, then said, "Fatty asked me just now why I let the guards go. I can tell you now. Within 7 days, the 1,000,000-strong army of the Magic Tribe will attack the God Emperor city." As soon as his voice faded, Fu Shishan was startled. Qiu Wandao's eyes turned cold and said, "Didn't Palace Question of God and Western Magic Tribe discuss this? If we were to transfer the Magic Tribe occupied to the Magic Tribe, why would they suddenly gather a 1,000,000-strong army and prevent the Magic Tribe from invading any further?" They were all a little confused. Were they deceived? Long Fei laughed coldly and said, "If you believe in the Palace Question of God, then you might as well believe that there's a ghost in this world. What a powerful person the Supreme God is. If he truly wants to fight against the Magic Tribe's army, then the Magic Tribe's army wouldn't be able to travel tens of millions of kilometers in just 3 short years, burning and looting everything in their way. It's impossible for the God Emperor city to be like this." The Black Knife asked, "Are you saying that these are all condoned by the Supreme God?" Long Fei raised his head to look at the sky and said gently, "I don't know if he is being lenient or not, but in their eyes, they are gods, and we are only insignificant ants. Even if we were to die, they wouldn't even blink once, let alone cry bitterly. There are no mortals in the world of gods. Chapter 989, 8 King Kong, done. Chapter 989, 8 King Kong, done. His life was like grass, even worse. In that case, he could only rely on himself to protect himself. Relying on the god was useless. He could only rely on himself to carve out a path of blood and break through everything. God was never reliable, not to mention these false gods. Fu Xishan asked, "Then what do you want to do now?" Long Fei said, "We still have at most 7 days. Within these 7 days, I want you all to unite together. As long as the various powers in the God Emperor Academy are linked together, I believe that you can definitely hold against the million-strong army of the Magic Tribe." Fu Xishan frowned. The current God Emperor Academy was too complicated. It was not that they could unite just because they wanted to, not to mention, in the world of martial artists, all they thought of was themselves. Qiu Wandao said, "In the 3 years that you disappeared, many things happened in God Emperor Academy. The Pan family was exterminated, but there were still a few other ancient family that rose to prominence. They quickly established a foothold in the God Emperor city, and I'm afraid it will be very difficult for them to fight against the enemy together. With different hearts and minds, no one would be willing to be pushed around by others, let alone Long Fei." Long Fei exhaled and said, "Then how many people can we gather now?" Fu Xishan said, "We have 100,000 death soldiers. If we add in your call, we can obtain another 100,000, but we do not dare say whether we can control these 100,000 people, and I am worried that other powers will cause trouble. 200,000. They'll be swallowed up by the army of 1,000,000 in an instant." Long Fei's brows tightened even more and said, "You guys try your best to recruit as many people as possible. This battle will signify the survival of the immortal domain. Don't rely on the palace question of God to make a move. They definitely won't care about our lives. All right, you guys can go and get ready. Black Knife Uncle, Yunner, the two of you come over." The fusion of the Arhut King Kong was already complete. As long as Long Fei made a move, he would be released. The Arhut King Kong was fused with the system. However, this King Kong had already returned to its position, leaving only the Black Knife Uncle. There was only one person left in 8 King Kong. Lightly touched Yunner's forehead and said, "Black Knife Uncle, 3 years ago, I promised to heal Yunner's eyes. Actually, I could already achieve this in the Academy's large competition, but I did not, so Yunner was unable to see anything these 3 years. Yunner, I'm sorry." Ancestral Dragon Pill. It was an all-powerful pill. The moment he had successfully refined it, Long Fei knew that this pellet could help Yunner regain her sight. However, at that time, he had been a little selfish, wanting to hand Aoya back to her. Regarding this matter, Long Fei had always blamed himself. Yunner giggled and said, "Big brother Long Fei, I'm fine." It was also at this moment. The system sounded out. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for triggering the Arrogant Knife King Kong quest. Quest, subdue the Berserker Blade reward. 1,000,000 experience points, 10,000 power of celestial points, 10,000 points, special reward. As expected, it really is the Arrogant Knife King Kong. The idea in Long Fei's heart moved and said, "Accepted." The last of the 8 King Kong. As long as the Black Knife returned to their position, the 8 King Kong would be gathered and they would be able to trigger the guild creation token. Then Long Fei would be able to truly create his own power and true strength, open the door, and establish your sect. Huff! Long Fei took out the ancestral dragon pellet from his bosom and said, "Yunner, if you consume this pellet, you will be able to recover your eyesight. The black knife was startled. He recognized this pellet and immediately grabbed Long Fei's hand. Long Fei, this pellet, it is too precious, an existence that surpasses the 9-dragon pill. He is without question the #1 pill in immortal domain, and it is more useful to you. The ancestral dragon pill, a pill that would even cause Fairy Hall Elder to tremble, was too precious. Long Fei said, "Nothing in this world is more important than Yunner's recovery of her eyesight. Black Knife Uncle, Long Fei, will definitely accomplish what I promised you." Breaking free from the black knife's hands, she placed the pellet into Yunner's hands and said, "Yunner, no matter how precious these pellets are, they are not as important as your eyes. Be obedient and eat this pellet. You will be able to see everything." Yunner's eyes were filled with tears as she cried out, "Big brother Long Fei, thank you." Following that, she swallowed the pill and closed her eyes. The ancestral dragon's power was emanating from her body. The dragon's blood vein power, recovery power, life force, and all kinds of power formed a strong resonance in her body and attacked her own blood vein power again and again. Yunner's eyes were blind because the blood veins power was too strong. As long as she could break the seal on the blood veins power, her eyes would be able to recover. The power was attacking. Yunner's body was also trembling. Half a minute later, buzz. Yunner's body began to emit a loud, rumbling sound as it turned crimson. Boom, boom, boom. The force from the door was like a flood, crazily attacking him. Next, Yunner's eyes slowly opened, becoming blurry before they slowly became clear again. She laughed excitedly. "Father, I can see now. Father, I can see now." Then she looked at Long Fei again as she giggled, "Big brother Long Fei, I can see you now, I can see you now. Every single day, I've been thinking about how you look like." He was as happy as a little sparrow. When the black knife saw that his daughter had regained her sight, he was so excited that tears flowed down his cheeks. He looked at Long Fei, who was kneeling on one knee, and said, "Long Fei, thank you." Ding! Congratulations, player. Long Fei, for completing the Arrogant Knife King Kong mission. You have received 1,000,000 experience, 10,000 power of celestial, and 10,000 points as a reward. Ding! The system begins to score. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining S++ score, for obtaining a special reward of 8 cuts from the Divine Emperor gifting items. Huh! Long Fei was slightly stunned and did not appear to be too shocked. He was already satisfied with the wild blade's return as he helped the black knife up and said, "Uncle, you're one of my 8 King Kong. This is your thing." Finished. He took out the secret manual for the 8 blades of the Divine Emperor. The black knife's eyes almost bulged out of its sockets when it saw the 8 blade of the Divine Emperor, and it was completely dazed. This saber art. This is a saber technique that my ancestor passed down. It has already disappeared for millions of years. The black knife's expression was too excited. Long Fei was also slightly taken aback and said, "Your ancestor? Don't tell me, you also?" The black knife smiled slightly and said, "I am from ancient families Huang clan and God's Martial Continent's 2nd-ranked family. My name is Huang Qi, and my daughter is Huanger. In addition, the blood vein that our Huang family inherited is the prophet's blood vein." Chapter 990, Sect System Activation. Chapter 990, Sect System Activation. The 2nd family of ancient family, Huang clan. Long Fei had seen the family rankings before, and the reason why the Huang clan was ranked 2nd was not because of his weak strength and Pan family, but because the Huang clan only had a few people. His blade technique was powerful. However, what was even more terrifying was their judgment of the future. Other than Long Wushan at that time, No one knew the secret of the Huang clan. The blood vein that the Huang clan had inherited was the prophet blood vein. It could sense everything that was happening within a radius of thousands of kilometers. It could know what was happening in the future and could see everything. This was the terror of the Huang clan. The prophet's blood veins were passed down in the Huang clan's women, and the man's words were said to be born with a knife fanaticism. The 8 sabers of the divine emperor was a saber technique passed down throughout the Huang clan, a blade technique that had been passed down for countless years. Legends said that it was a blade technique created by the divine emperor powerhouse, one that black knife yearned for day and night. Long Fei passed the sword technique to him, and the black knife revealed her identity without reservation. The black knife said slightly, "Our Huang family has also suffered under the pressure of the Long family, but Long Wuxian didn't do anything to us back then. On the contrary, he helped us cover up the truth, saving our Huang family from disaster. Long Fei, from now on, you are my boss." At this moment, the black knife was bringing Long Fei back to being the boss in front of him. The berserker blade returned to its original position. The system also chimed in. "Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for completing the 8 King Kong mission. You have obtained a special reward, Sect Master Command." Looking at the dragon mark that floated in his mind, Long Fei's mind tensed up. "I've finally completed the 8 King Kong mission. Ding! Do you want to establish a sect?" Long Fei said without any hesitation. "Yes." System notification. "Player, please set the sect name." "God's Martial Continent. That's called God's Martial Sect." Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for establishing God's Martial Sect. Rewards: 10 million experience points, 100,000 power of celestial, 100,000 points, special reward. Ding! 8 King Kong is back. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for triggering Sect System to obtain 100 experience, 100 power of celestial, 100 points, and 100 special reward. Ding! Do you want to check the sect system? Long Fei moved and said, "Check." System name, sect, system sect level. 0 sect number. 9 can be accepted. 50 sect experience. 0 sect contribution. 0. The sect's description. The higher the level, the more people to recruit. The more people to recruit. Seeing all these, Long Fei became excited. "My sect. As long as you are my disciple, I can share the experience of their cultivation. Whether it's alchemy, artifact forging, killing, or killing demon beast, I can draw their experience points from the sect system or even their proficiency. Yes, this. Long Fei was shocked by the system's description. 1 person leveling was very slow. What about 100 people for you to level up? 1,000, 100 million? The entire plane will level up for you, not just experience. Then there was the alchemy proficiency, the artifact forging proficiency, and even the sacred art that Long Fei was cultivating. All of these could be upgraded through the sect system. How strong of an existence was this? Just like that. Wah, ka, 8 King Kong mission. Awesome indeed. This was the quest that he had triggered in the Nantian region. It was one of the 3 great missions. Looking for the dragon domain, looking for the elven race, and the 8 King Kong mission. One of them was done. When Long Fei opened the sect system, besides him, there were only 8 people. Sect Master, Long Fei, Golden Immortal Stage Level 9, 8 King Kong, Li Yuanba, Holy King Kong, Strength. Arhut, Demon Subduing Vajra, Strength. Holy Spirit, Yuling Guardian Warrior, Strength. Lin Yuzhen God, S Water King Kong, Strength. Chun Tianfei, Holy Armor King Kong at Golden Immortal Stage Level 7. Aoya, Sword Force King Kong at Golden Immortal Stage Level 7. Arhut King Kong, strength. Huangshi, arrogant knife King Kong, golden immortal stage level 9. Clan, 0. Other than the Arhut King Kong, the other King Kong generals have also shown their true strength and cultivation. The 4 great King Kong of Nantian region are all unknown. Yuan Ba, what happened to you two? Long Fei was very worried. God's martial continent had changed too much in the past few years. It was like a giant wheel rolling down, spinning so fast that it made Long Fei panic in his heart. Actually, what he didn't know was that this was a sign that a catastrophe was about to befall him. We have to settle the matters of the immortal domain as soon as possible. We need to make a trip to the Nantian region as soon as possible. Long Fei had an ominous premonition when he thought about Nantian region, that something must have happened to him. Right now, the only thing he could be sure of was that Li Yuanba's 4 great King Kong were still alive. Otherwise, they wouldn't have appeared on the list. Boss, Big Brother Long Fei, Black Knife, and Yunner looked at the dazed Long Fei. Long Fei regained his composure and smiled. I've been scared by your identities. And then Long Fei looked at Yunner and said, Yunner, don't let anyone else know about your ability. The most important thing is that you must not sense my future. Long Fei was not afraid of his future. It wasn't that he didn't dare to face it. He was worried that he would make the people around him worry. He did not believe in the future. He only believed in himself. He did not believe in the heavens. He did not believe in the earth. He even more so did not believe in fate. Yunner did not quite understand, but she still nodded and said, N. Following that, Long Fei walked out of the room. In the courtyard, Fu Shishan and a few others were waiting for him. Long Fei laughed. I forgot to tell you guys something. In 3 years, I have established a sect, and its name is God's Martial Sect. Do you all want to join my sect now? 50 slots. They must all take it. Moreover, to raise the sect's level, Long Fei alone was useless. It would depend on everyone's hard work. Half an hour later, everyone in the courtyard had been gathered, even the 50 people. At this moment, ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for taking in his disciple and triggering Monster Siege system. Within 3 days, the monsters attacked the city. Player Long Fei must guard the God Emperor's city. Once the city is broken, all 50 people of the God's Martial Sect will be killed by the system. Countdown begins. The system beep finished. Long Fei was stunned. Damn, this daddy knew that something bad was going to happen. System your ass. Your whole family your ass. Are you toying with me, killing me all of you? Isn't it a little too much? Cursing is cursing. However, the monsters attacking the city made Long Fei excited. The chance to explode was here. Chapter 991, Supreme God, get your ass out here for this daddy. Chapter 991, Supreme God, get your ass out here for this daddy. The establishment of the sect triggered the invasion of the monsters. This added fuel to the fire for Long Fei, because he had yet to think of a way to deal with the million-strong army of the magic tribe. He really didn't have the slightest confidence. Right now, the only thing I can do is to hope that the monsters will attack the city and the million-strong army of the magic tribe will not attack the God Emperor city on the same day. Long Fei secretly said in his heart. And then Long Fei said, everything will be prepared within 3 days. After 3 days, there will be a huge battle. 3 days? Fat Man Chen was startled and said, Boss, didn't you say 7 days earlier? Why did it become 3 days again? Everyone looked at Long Fei. They were all a little confused. Time was running out. Long Fei exhaled and said, 3 days is when the demon beast invades the city. 7 days is when the magic tribe invades the city, which means to say we have to bear 2 attacks. This is a battle of life and death. I hope everyone will use their strongest power. It really was a matter of life and death. If the monster attack could not be stopped, all the disciples in the gods' martial sect created by Long Fei would be killed by the system. If they were able to resist the attacks of the monsters and the magic tribe army defeating them, they probably wouldn't be able to survive. A battle of life and death. Demon beast attack. No one understood. Yunner's eyes flashed, and her body began to tremble. Her voice also started to tremble a little. So many demon beast deaths. Some of them even came from the infernal realm. Too strong. She saw demon beast that blotted out the sky and covered the earth, saw the sky stained with blood, and saw how countless people died. In addition, she also saw that behind the monster army, the million-strong army was staring at them with hostility. Yunner's body trembled even more as she hugged the black knife in fear. Can we give up? She could see the future. What she had was the blood vein of the prophet. She was afraid of what she had just seen. Black Knife hugged her daughter tightly and looked at Long Fei. Long Fei clenched both his fists tightly and said, "He is right, we might all die here. The monster army that we have to face is incomparably powerful. After the monster army comes the million-strong army of the magic tribe. There are still 3 days left, and you still have a chance to choose. I won't blame you. There was only one life, and no one would take it as a joke, so Long Fei didn't have the qualifications to make them hand their lives over to him. People would really die." Fat Menchin shouted, "Boss, aren't you underestimating us? Isn't it just one life? It's as if someone has two. I'll fight it out with everything I have." "Fight to the death." The saber, Art said. "Fight to the death. Fight to the death." Because Long Fei and the others had gathered together, because Long Fei and the others had become extremely strong, and also because Long Fei and the others felt that their lives had gained meaning. For Long Fei, fight. Long Fei was secretly grateful in his heart. It's really good to have such a bunch of brothers. 3 days. We only have 3 days. Everyone, go and prepare. Long Fei said. Following that, he walked out of the yard. Man Tualuo asked, "Long Fei, where are you going?" Long Fei said, "I'm going to the God Emperor Academy." Originally, they wanted to disperse, but their faces tensed up as they immediately took a step forward and said, "Long Fei, you can't go. The current God Emperor Academy is different from the previous God Emperor Academy. They won't let you go if you go. Long Fei, don't go. The current God Emperor Academy is rotten. God Emperor Academy is a bunch of scum." Everyone began to urge him. Long Fei smiled slightly. "Don't worry, I will be fine." While they were talking, Long Fei looked at the sky and thought, "Supreme God, we have to settle this debt now. You guys are busy with your matters." Finished. Carrying the dragon salyer on his shoulder, Long Fei walked towards the direction of the God Emperor Academy. A single saber strike. 3 years wasn't a long time, but it was enough to change everyone. To be able to turn the #1 academy in God's martial continent into the #1 Dregs Academy. Just as they had said, the current God Emperor Academy had already become a bandit's nest. They were the tyrants of the God Emperor City, the tumor. As long as they went down the mountain, there would be no good things to do. And the one who caused all of this was the Supreme God. Unrestrained, it was a form of acquiescence. It was precisely because of his tacit approval that things turned out this way. There was only one way to change the current situation. Kill Supreme God. Supreme God. Peak palace question of God. He was so strong that he could not be shaken, and wanted to kill him. Even Gu Tong Tian could not easily do it. Half an hour later, at the entrance of God Emperor Academy, the 4 disciples stood there looking all around. Seeing Long Fei, who was walking towards them. One of the disciples snorted, "Show your order badge." The others glanced at Long Fei. Newbie. Never seen him before. It couldn't be a confession, could it? While they were talking, Long Fei's figure disappeared and reappeared inside the academy's gate. The 4 guards were stunned. "How dare you barge into God Emperor Academy? I think you must be tired of living." The 4 of them quickly rushed forward. Long Fei completely ignored him and walked toward the peak of the God Emperor Mountain in large strides. That was the place closest to the outer space palace. "Who is it?" "Someone has barged into the God Emperor Academy. Kill this brat." All sorts of clamors and shouts continuously rang out within the God Emperor Academy. Long Fei didn't even pay attention to him and continued walking toward the peak of the God Emperor Mountain. "Brat, who exactly are you? And why are you here in the God Emperor Academy? If you don't explain all of this today, you can forget about leaving this place alive." All sides of the road were blocked. A few elders of the God Emperor Academy stood in midair and glared at Long Fei, who was below. Suddenly, one of the clan elders frowned and suddenly said 2 words, "Long Fei?" "What Long Fei? Dragons can fly. What are you talking about?" "His name is Long Fei. The Long Fei who was blasted into the Death Land by the great honored warrior 3 years ago." "Oh my God, is that the Long Fei who picked out the 18 principals on the list and killed the 8 great Fairy Hall Elder in anger?" The entire scene exploded into an uproar. Some revealed fear, some revealed admiration. They had heard of Long Fei's deeds before. He was too strong and too cruel, like a demon. Long Fei slightly said, "This time, it has nothing to do with you guys. Just watch on the side. Also, don't provoke me." Finished. Long Fei took a step forward, his body becoming a blur. With a single step, he landed on the summit of the God Emperor Mountain and roared at the outer space palace above him. "Supreme God, get the hell down here." Chapter 992, I Want to Be a Supreme God. Chapter 992, I Want to Be a Supreme God. A furious roar. Thunder rumbled, resounding for 10,000 kilometers. And at this moment, all of the people in the God Emperor City trembled as they raised their heads to look. Fu Shishan's face changed greatly. Long Fei wants to take care of Supreme God. This is crazy. Fat Man Chen dropped what he was doing and rushed out. Thinking back to the scene that happened in the training grounds 3 years ago, he rushed out without a care in the world. Everyone thought that Long Fei would go to the God Emperor Academy to settle scores with some of the Fairy Hall Elder-S. His target was the Supreme God, who had sent them flying 3 years ago. Of the palace question of God. 3 years ago, when they were sent flying, that kind of power was not something they could touch. Even if they had broken through and become stronger, they were no match for the Supreme God at all. The Supreme God was really too strong. They did not even know the realm of his strength. There was no limit to how strong he was. How could he be an opponent? Right at the moment when the fatty was about to rush out, Qiu Wandao's figure moved, directly blocking his path, and said, "You can't go." "Presbyter Qiu, get out of the way." Fat Man Chen was a little angry. "You should know better than me how strong Supreme God is. If the great assembly dies, he will die." Everyone rushed to the courtyard's entrance. They wanted to rush out, so the elderly in green also descended and blocked his path, saying, "Supreme God is very strong, so strong that it's useless even if all of us go. Why would Yong, Master Long, go alone? He just doesn't want to see that scene from 3 years ago happen again." And Qiu Wandao took over. "Long Fei is definitely not a reckless person. He will definitely think of a way to deal with the Supreme God. If we go, it will only bring him more trouble. We have to sit down and take care of what he has to say." Everyone fell silent. Indeed, even if they went, they would only cause trouble for Long Fei. Their power was something that even the Fairy Hall Elder S found difficult to deal with, not to mention the Supreme God S themselves. Song Qianqian looked at Yunner and said, "Yunner, what can you do?" Yunner shook her head. "Sister Qianqian, I promised Big Brother Long Fei that I would never look at his future. I know that the Supreme God is powerful, and his power is the strongest I have ever seen. But I believe in Big Brother Long Fei. She didn't dare look. He really didn't dare to look, because she was afraid of the scene when Long Fei fell into a pool of blood. Being able to see the future was also a very painful thing. Everyone fell silent. Fat Man Chin smashed a piece of rock into pieces with his fist and said fiercely, "I am really useless." Who was that voice just now? You dare to challenge the Supreme God. Is he crazy? This voice seems very familiar, as if you've heard it somewhere. That arrogant tone is very familiar. Arrogant? Whoever dares to be arrogant in front of the Supreme God is not afraid that this day next year will be his anniversary. To dare to be so arrogant in front of Supreme God, then this person, Long Fei, everyone in the streets and alleys of God Emperor Academy was talking about it. The name Long Fei once again caused a sensation. Exciting. It was because someone dared to confront the God Emperor Academy, dared to challenge the palace question of God. There was someone who dared to fight against the God. In the hearts of the ordinary citizens of the God Emperor city, the palace question of God was the shrine, and the Supreme God was the Supreme God. They were invincible. They were completely unable to move. At the same time, they are hateful. Long Fei's arrogant voice made many people's blood boil. At the peak of the God Emperor Mountain, Long Fei roared once again, "Supreme God, get the hell down here. Long Fei, you're too impudent. You dare to act so arrogantly here? You must be tired of living." A Fairy Hall elder shouted loudly, "A mere golden immortal rank dares to be so arrogant. You really think too highly of yourself. If I were you, I would have found a place for everyone to live after escaping from Deathland. And I even ran over to God Emperor Academy to behave atrociously and even dared to challenge the Supreme God. You are courting death. Do you know that?" Long Fei's eyes slightly moved, glanced at the elder who spoke, and said, "I don't have time to pay attention to you today, so please shut up. I'm here to cause a ruckus. Go away. I don't want to go blind." However, some people always like to be mean. Then, when the Fairy Hall elder was enraged, the pressure of the Yuan Xian realm pressed down on him. The powerful strength of his body transformed into two palms that struck towards Xiang Long Fei. "You dog, die!" Long Fei's eyes turned sinister as he resisted the dragon salure on his shoulder and fell. Shwa! His figure disappeared. Crack! A moment later, a head flew into the air and fresh blood splattered. Long Fei returned to his original spot and said playfully, "I really don't want to kill anyone. I already said it. Don't provoke me. Don't provoke me. Why aren't you listening? I came here today to overturn the palace question of God. If you still want to die, then don't blame me for being impolite." The words grew colder and colder until they sounded like they came from hell itself. Everyone felt a chill in their hearts as their hearts trembled. Too terrifying. The current Long Fei was completely different from the Long Fei of 3 years ago. 3 years of killing. After 3 years on the road to Deathland, Long Fei's temperament and aura had completely changed. An elder of the Yuan Xian realm was instantly killed. Just how terrifying was this existence? 3 years ago, he wasn't a match at all. The faces of the elders of the God Emperor Academy sunk. They did not dare say a word, and did not even dare to breathe loudly as they quietly looked at Long Fei. At this moment, Palace Question of God. The Supreme God looked at Long Fei in the great void mirror, and a cold smile appeared on the corner of his mouth as he said coldly, Long Fei, you sent yourself to your death, so don't blame me for this. Then, the big door of the outer space palace opened. An enormous aura covered the sky. His aura spread across the entire God Emperor city. The sky darkened. His figure was as graceful as an immortal, as if he was a god from the immortal world. Moreover, in the Supreme God's heart, he treated himself as the god of the immortal domain. The Supreme God, Long Fei. The Supreme God's tone was filled with contempt. He laughed coldly and said, You should have lived like a dog after crawling out of the death land, and yet you came here to die. Tell me, are you cheating? Supreme God's voice burst out from all directions. The pressure from all directions also came crushing down. Very, very strong. Just the pressure it exuded was much stronger than it was 3 years ago. Long Fei's mind and consciousness were all trembling. However, compared to 3 years ago, Long Fei was also different. Long Fei's mouth hooked into a cold smile. If I don't turn you over, what's the point in living? Old thief Supreme God. The entire immortal domain is covered in smoke because of you. You failed to fulfill your duty as the immortal domain. Do you think you have the qualifications to become the head of the immortal domain? Supreme God sneered. So what if there is smoke and miasma? Mortals are like ants. But you, Long Fei, what are you trying to do by saying all these? Could it be that you want to become the head of immortal domain? Ha ha. Long Fei laughed excitedly and said, You're right, I want to become a supreme god. Chapter 993, Lousy Must Blow You. Chapter 993, Lousy Must Blow You. I want to replace him. I want to be the head of immortal domain. As soon as he finished speaking, the entire God Emperor city was shocked. This was an outrageous statement. Moreover, Long Fei was only a golden immortal rank, and using this kind of strength to challenge the Supreme God, he was completely seeking death. However, Long Fei had to take her place. This step was extremely important. If it was unable to succeed, then the assault by the demon beast S would come 3 days later. He would not be able to defend against the million-strong demon beast army, and would not be able to withstand the power Fu Shishan had accumulated for the past 3 years. Only by unifying the power of the entire God Emperor city would there be hope. There was only one person who could do this. Supreme God, the head of the immortal domain. Only by becoming the head of immortal domain would one be able to command everything. Who would dare to disobey? Directly kill. No one dared to oppose the palace question of God. There was only one way. This was also the fastest way Long Fei could think of. He could become the supreme god and command everyone to stop the demon beast from attacking the city and the army of 1,000,000 magic tribe. A very difficult solution. He was very clear in his heart that the supreme god was incomparably powerful, but he had to take this step forward and take his place. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Supreme God laughed crazily. Many people from God Emperor Academy also laughed. Replacing? A fantasy story. The position of the Supreme God is something that has been chosen from the inside of the palace question of God. No one can replace it. If you want to replace it, you have to make the entire palace question of God your enemy. Who would dare? Long Fei dared. The Supreme God loudly laughed and said, Then how do you want to replace it? Long Fei said, I will kill you in a simple and crude way. Ha ha ha. The Supreme God laughed out wildly again and said, Long Fei, I used to think you were very good, fighting with your life on the line, daring to kill, able to take, and being arrogant and despotic. This is the aura a martial artist should possess. Now, I've discovered another personality of yours. Naive. He's really too naive. Do you really take yourself seriously? Do you really think that your long family's life is invincible? Actually, you are just a pitiful bug whose fate is already in the hands of another person. It's just that you don't know it yourself. Ha ha ha. Long Fei said, Supreme God, stop competing blindly. I have no time to waste here. Go on, let's fight. You sent me flying 3 years ago. This time, I will destroy you. As soon as he finished speaking, the chi on Long Fei's body suddenly exploded. The dragon salure moved. The black, flaming blade energy began to burn crazily. Supreme God revealed a disdainful sneer. With just you? Long Fei, in my eyes, you are just a piece of trash. Suddenly, Supreme God laughed coldly, in ridicule. He slapped his high and mighty palm downwards, and the 5-fingered giant palm came crashing down. As if it was an external hand, it directly grabbed Xiang Longfei and sneered, Brat, go obediently to hell. A giant palm print appeared and held Long Fei in the center of his palm. And then the palm imprint exploded with force. Boom! With a loud bang, the void shattered. It turned into fine powder that scattered into the air. Instant death. Supreme God is indeed a supreme God. Long Fei is completely no match for him. Golden immortal rank? Too weak. Supreme God is a super powerful powerhouse of the immortal realm. Other than the few grand elders of the Western Devil Lord and the Outer Space Palace, no one else is his match. He's a joke. One-hit kill. In the eyes of the people of God Emperor Academy, this was indeed the case. In the eyes of the Supreme God, it was the same, because he did not even put Long Fei in his eyes, and was not qualified to be his opponent. But just when everyone was laughing at Long Fei for overestimating himself, Long Fei's figure suddenly flashed out from the void. The powerful force of teleportation exploded in front of Supreme God. Void walk, shuttle through everything. This was the power of Cassidon. Facing such a strong power, Long Fei immediately shot out. The moment he appeared, Long Fei hugged his arms, and the 2 furious Vajra apes roared out and smashed onto Supreme God's chest like heavy cannons. Rumble! Rumble! The void exploded. Supreme God's body flew out 1,000 meters like a remnant thread. The entire audience was shocked. What just happened? How did he dodge the Supreme God's attack? How could he come out of nowhere? How did he manage to injure the Supreme God? One question after another remained unanswered in their minds. They couldn't understand it at all. Just what was going on? Even the Supreme God didn't understand. The people of this world didn't even know who Cassidon was. Everyone was stunned. The corner of Long Fei's mouth lifted slightly and said, Supreme God, is this great? Supreme God's face darkened. He became ugly, stared at Long Fei, and said, Brat, just you wait. Boom. The power of someone at the peak of the immortal stage, level 1, exploded forth. His body also abruptly underwent a tremendous change. Next, Shua. His speed could not be described as fast. He landed beside Long Fei, and the divine light on his palm flashed as he placed his palm on Long Fei's chest. Golden Dragon Master. Boom. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The defensive power of 8 Golden Dragon Master S was completely released. At this moment, Long Fei moved and shouted, Super Saiyan, Bloodline Mode, transform. Shua. Moreover, at this moment, the Golden Dragon Master had dissolved most of the Supreme God's strength, but Long Fei's body was still sunk. The blood in his chest was tumbling, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. However, Long Fei did not retreat. In terms of speed, he was not a match for Supreme God. He could only seize the instant when Supreme God made his move. And then, an all-out attack. Big day, Tashigata. 1,000 Blessings Sect. A giant palm made of golden light shot out explosively. Within the void, an incomparably gigantic ancestral, illusionary Tathagata appeared out of thin air. This palm strike carried an incomparably strong power of the Holy Buddha. Rumble! The giant golden palm exploded on Supreme God's chest, and a violent strike of damage floated above his head. The amount of blood on the head of Supreme God appeared. A number to try? It was so much that Long Fei's scalp went numb. 1 billion. F asterisk CK. 1 billion HP. I'm F asterisk king screwed. This is way too freaking terrifying. What boss hadn't he seen? However, it was Long Fei's first time seeing a 1 billion HP boss. How was he going to kill it? It was too difficult. To other people, it was like that, but to a madman, the more health you have, the stronger your cultivation is and the higher your level is, which means that this boss will drop more holy artifact. Or even more, I have prepared 100 striking energy value for you. Bring it on. Today, I will risk my life to turn you upside down. Chapter 994, Supreme God's Great Skill, Tomb of the Nine-Story Heaven. Chapter 994, Supreme God's Great Skill, Tomb of the Nine-Story Heaven determined below. Now, Long Fei's bold words resounded in the sky above the God Emperor City, and everyone within the God Emperor City heard them. Many young warriors' blood started to boil. Long Fei ignited the fire in their hearts. Ah ha ha! Ah ha ha! Supreme God laughed crazily as he stared at Long Fei. Seems like you have improved a lot in these 3 years, but so what? In my eyes, you are still an ant. Boom! The illusory image of the Supreme God dispersed into the sky, forming a gigantic figure. The entire sky was filled with the aura of his power. In this God's martial continent, I am the heavens. Long Fei, do you dare to fight against the heavens? Ha ha ha! As the laughter faded, the power of heaven came crashing down. Long Fei's body suddenly sank. He could not sense the position of the Supreme God. He only felt that the Supreme God was incomparably powerful, omnipresent. Long Fei was secretly shocked in his heart. Is this his power? Terrifying. Terrifying. Yen Huang Ancestor replied. He cultivates heavenly energy. I don't care what kind of power he cultivated. Not to mention he's not heaven. Even if he's really heaven, I will still blast a hole in him to come out. Long Fei's heart sank as he burst forth with power. Raising his head to look at the sky, he roared out loudly, Level 8 unparalleled, open it for me. Buzz. A bell chime exploded inside Long Fei's body. 256 times the usual attribute power exploded outwards as Long Fei's strength burned crazily in his Super Saiyan mode, and his power of celestial value was also being crazily consumed as well. This old man doesn't care who you are. I'll definitely overturn you today. Ah! A roar. Long Fei's footsteps shook, and his body shot up to the sky like a rocket. At the same time, both his fists went berserk, and he unleashed his strength in a berserk manner. Pung, pung, pung. Boom, boom, boom. It was a complete mess. As fast as lightning, his fist felt like it was about to hit flesh. He did not know if they had attacked the Supreme God, but that was the only thing he could do. As Long Fei's speed became faster and faster, the attack power on his fist became stronger and stronger. Supreme God's sky-crushing power also started to continuously tighten, as if a layer of God's General Long Fei was wrapping around it. This move, Outer Space Palace, the brows of the Fairy Hall elder trembled. An elder suddenly exclaimed, "The heavenly tomb! This. He actually forced the Supreme God's heavenly tomb out. I can't help but say that this brat is quite impressive, but no matter how amazing he is, it's useless. He's about to die. Ha ha ha. He truly does not know his place. If he does not fight with someone, then he has to fight with our palace question of God. Isn't that just courting death? This Long Fei is too arrogant. The lesson 3 years ago was not enough. This time Supreme God will definitely not let him off. Heavenly Tomb. It was a power of the heavenly Tao. Once released, it would become a dead existence. No one could resist it. In the forbidden grounds of Outer Space Palace, Gu Tongtian's forehead tightened as killing intent flashed in his eyes. It seems like you really don't want me to live for too long. You even used the power of the Heavenly Tomb. I've really underestimated you these past 3 years. You actually cultivated the Heavenly Tomb to this extent. HNG. Gu Tongtian's eyes were filled with shock. This showed just how powerful the power of the Heavenly Tomb was. However, he was in no hurry to act. He narrowed his eyes and waited. Swish! A layer of sky split open and wrapped itself around it. Shwa! Yet another layer of the sky appeared. The sky continuously split open as layers and layers of power burst out. The 9-story heaveness and the 9 great heavenly powers were like a bag of dumplings as they tightly wrapped around Long Fei. The supreme god's wild laughter rang out. Brat, go to hell. Tomb of the 9-story heaven. Heaven's path sect. Open. Enveloped by 9-story heaven, a door in the sky opened. It was called the Door of Heaven's Path, Heaven's Burial, a gift sent to the heavens. Long Fei was wrapped within. The energy from all directions crushed down onto him, causing Long Fei's body to almost be unable to withstand it. Yan Huang Ancestor slightly said, Brad, do you want me? No need. Long Fei rejected him immediately without waiting for Yan Huang Ancestor to finish. Sea Dragon King said anxiously, Boss, the power of the 9-story heaven Tao is very strong. You can't resist it at all. So why don't you let us out? In that moment of life and death, Sea Dragon King couldn't care so much anymore. Long Fei said, no need. And then Long Fei said to the Yan Huang Ancestor, I can withstand this power, but I can't find the position of the Supreme God. Ancestor, help me lock onto the position of the Supreme God. Yan Huang Ancestor replied, all right, explode. When the 9-story heaven exploded, the scene was like the sky shattering and the heaven and earth shook. The world was moving. The spirits were shocked. His finger pointed up at the 9 heavens down to the 9 nether regions, and not a single one of them wasn't trembling. The power of this move was too strong. However, even if it was even more powerful, it would still be of no use to Long Fei, because the moment the 9-story heaven exploded and crushed him, Long Fei shouted in his heart, Zhongya Gold Body, open! Buzz! Long Fei put on a handsome posture and smiled. Come, let's see who you can blast to death. Boom, boom, boom. A series of loud sounds rang out. Long Fei's body seemed to have entered a completely different world as powerful forces continuously struck at him. His body did not have the slightest injury, but the shock in his heart was extremely strong because the difference between his current realm and supreme gods was simply too great. One's mind and consciousness could not defend against attacks from the golden body. Zhongya Gold Body's defense was invincible. However, his mind, his sea of consciousness, had no way to defend. The Golden Dragon Master could not withstand the impact of the power. Hold on. Long Fei gnashed his teeth, as his heart was strangely appraising. However, this was a layer of explosion. It was like a ferocious beast in a cage, crazily enraged. However, no matter how mad it would not be able to break through the cage, and would only end up as a laughing toy. Sick. He felt extremely displeased. Rumble. The 3rd level exploded. Beneath Long Fei's golden body, Blood trickled out from the corner of his mouth. His mind felt like it was about to shatter. If not for the power of the grade 9 immortal stage gods, Soul Herb, and the 9 great bronze men protecting his mind, Long Fei's mind would have definitely been broken. At that time, even if his body did not die, he would have turned into a vegetable and would not be able to wake up. Rumble! The 4th level exploded. Supreme God laughed out wildly. Ha ha! Long Fei, is this good? It must be very satisfying, right? Ha ha ha! Fighting with me. This is the result of fighting with me. Boom! The 5th level exploded. Long Fei couldn't take it anymore. Chapter 995, Fusion of Blood Vein. Chapter 995, Fusion of Blood Vein. Huh? Fight with me? You still want to replace me? You think that just because you're from the Long family, you can't handle it? You think you're awesome because you're the prophet's son? Still suppressed by me. This is the result of your disobedience. If you want to be as obedient as a dog, you can live for a few more years like your dead father. The Supreme God sneered. Boom! The 6th level exploded. Long Fei's blood was boiling. His internal organs had all been dislocated. His mind was struggling to hold on as well. The sea of consciousness was overturning. Even the head of the dragon and the body of the dragon would not be able to withstand this. The head of the Yuan Long spoke in a disdainful voice. Brat, are you that useless? How can someone like you be able to withstand a tribulation like this? How can someone like you lead the dragon clan to kill the divinity? Are you worthy? If you can't do it, then give your body to me. I'll let you experience what a power of Yuan Long is. A thin line between life and death. Even the idea let out a disdainful sound. Long Fei could not take it. At this time, the power of the 7th level exploded. The golden body was covered in blood. Long Fei was still resisting it with all his might, but when he heard the disdainful sneers from the Supreme God and Yuan Long, he became even more unhappy. He wasn't ready. Although his realm did not break through, his power had become even stronger. He did not even use the power of the Flame Heaven Divine Light, but had used the power of the Heavenly Tomb from the very beginning, because this time he would definitely not give Long Fei a second chance. He would definitely not let Long Fei leave this place alive. He wanted to cut off some people's hopes, as long as these people used up their lives. Then he would be the king of this world, a king who was like a god, a Western devil lord, a grand elder, a lord of the dark domain, a king of the wilderness. All of these would be crushed by him. As long as the dragon domain, did not open, those old monsters that had lived for more than 400 years would all die. As for him, right now he was only 200 years old. He still had 200 years of time, and he had plenty of time. Long Fei, he must die. Thinking about this, Supreme God started laughing maniacally in his heart. Master, I used to live like a dog in front of you. You raised me like a dog. All the things I did in the past were all for your sake. Now, I want to live for myself. You still have 2 years to live, so you old things can die in peace. Dragon Domain, you guys can forget about opening it for the rest of your lives. As long as Long Fei dies. And then Nantian region would also disappear along with the bottom of the sea, and they would never again have Long family. Everything was his. The 8th level. Explode. Rumble. The layer of sky surrounding Long Fei exploded once again, causing Long Fei's entire body to tremble violently. It was extremely uncomfortable, but this pain was caused by his mental collapse. God's Phoenix Pavilion. Yunner's body started to tremble, and her face paled. Big Brother Long Fei, Big Brother Long Fei. Father, go save Big Brother Long Fei. Big Brother Fatty, go save Big Brother Long Fei. Sisters, Big Brother Long Fei can't take it anymore. Yunner did not look at Long Fei's future. She sensed the aura in Long Fei's body and sensed the pain that he was currently enduring, the edge of collapse. Ah! Fat Man Chen was furious. With a crash of his body, he directly smashed apart the courtyard wall. His body flew. His 250-gene body rushed out like a thick bolt of lightning, one step at a time. He shouted, "Supreme God, old man, make a move on my boss. I'll F***K, you're immortal." Ah! At the same time, Qiu Wandao's body was also trembling, and at this time, he too lost all reason and rushed towards the God Emperor Academy. Song Qianqian and the others all rushed towards God Emperor Academy. They were all scared silly. 3 years of scenes flashed through their minds. This time, it was even more brutal than 3 years ago. Every time the power in the sky exploded, it was as if a brother had disappeared right in front of them. Long Fei. Inside God Emperor City, countless people clenched their fists tightly, looked up to the sky, and prayed in their hearts. Yong, Master Long, you must hold on. Long Fei, you must persevere on. Long Fei was their hero. If Long Fei fell, the immortal domain would no longer have any hope. God Emperor Academy. All the Fairy Hall Elder S started laughing. Ha! Brat, no matter how arrogant you are, you should be dead by now. Ha ha! The mighty supreme God. Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! Those high and mighty Fairy Hall Elder S. All of them wished for Long Fei's death, and wished for nothing more than for him to go to hell earlier. Long Fei was a scourge to them. Supreme God glanced at the heavenly palace and thought to himself, "Master, even if you attack him now, you won't be able to save him. Ha ha ha! Your hopes are about to be dashed. Ha ha! In a few years, I will be the strongest king in the gods' martial continent. The first 9-story heaven, explode. Outer space palace." Gu Tongtian's forehead turned sinister, and his body suddenly disappeared. He couldn't let Long Fei die. Absolutely not. Long Fei was his open dragon domain's only hope. He currently only had 2 years of life left, and if he could not cultivate the secrets of the longevity techniques in these 2 years, and if he could not obtain the treasures of the dragon domain, he would die of old age in the gods' martial continent. Absolutely not. As his figure fell, a tyrannical power came crashing down. He shouted, "Supreme God, stop! Rumble!" In front of Gu Tongtian from the flying fairy land, Supreme God did not have any chance to retaliate. As if he didn't feel pain at all, he smiled sinisterly and excitedly said, "Master, it's too late. He's about to die, and your last hope will be shattered." Everything was coming to an end. He was the final victor. Supreme God laughed wildly in excitement. Even though he was severely injured, he did not care at all. The explosion of the first 9-story heaven had already begun, and Long Fei was definitely unable to withstand it. He would definitely die. With Long Fei's death, Gu Tongtian also wouldn't be able to kill him, because every time he used his energy and essence energy, Gu Tongtian's lifespan would decrease. He couldn't bear to die, so he was the final winner. Ha ha ha! Supreme God laughed proudly. No one could stop Long Fei's death. No one. The instant the 9th floor exploded, Long Fei thought, "Ancestor, can we do it now?" Yan Huang Ancestor said, "It's about time. Your body is about to collapse. The blood vein hidden in your body is about to collapse as well. This is too dangerous." Long Fei grinned like a madman and said sinisterly, "Come, let's condense your unique blood vein and merge it into my body." Chapter 996, Devouring Vein. Chapter 996, Devouring Vein. Blood Vein's power was a special kind of power. There are millions of blood vein in this world, and every type of blood vein has different attributes. It contains a strong power, and it contains a talent that goes against the heavens. The exquisite rose-finch blood vessel, Song Qianqian's 9 heavens female blood vein, Pan Sheng's Pangu bloodline, had been jealous and envious of the vein of ancient first emperor that he had met in the Nantian region countless of times. Every time he had asked the patriarch, when would he be able to refine his blood vein, the exclusive blood vein, the forefather continued to work hard. After 3 years, he had finally absorbed the power of thousands upon thousands of blood essences. However, Long Fei's body was different from ordinary warriors. He said that there were no dragon clan blood vein on him, but there was still the power of the blood vein left in his blood, so he had to completely remove the power of the blood vein from his body, so that Long Fei's blood did not have the power of the blood vein. Bring it on! Patriarch, there's no more time. Long Fei shouted anxiously. Long Fei was already unable to endure the explosion of the first 9-story heaven. If this continued, he would really die here. He was using the supreme God's power to expel the powerful blood vein's power from his blood from his body. He was collapsing, and the blood vein came out of his body, allowing his body to reach an unprecedented state of being a container. Only by doing this could he instantly absorb the blood vein's power. This move, Long Fei left in an incomparably dangerous manner. It could be said that he was dancing on a sharp knife. The 9-story heaven had already exploded, so the Yan Huang ancestor didn't waste any more time. She reminded him, "Brat, empty your body." Finished. The moment the Yan Huang ancestor's idea moved, a burst of power exclusive to Yan Huang ancestor burst out from Long Fei's body. In his mind, a drop of blood essence floated in the air. "Fall," Yan Huang ancestor roared, and the blood that was floating above his mind dripped down. All sorts of powerful runes, mysterious ancient runes, the runes of the Chaos Realm, and the blood of millions of demon beasts seemed to have been electrocuted, and the ancient blood vein seemed to explode from within Long Fei's body. Less than 1/10 of a second had passed. The power of that drop of blood essence filled every part of Long Fei's body. His mind, the sea of consciousness, his internal organs, his meridians, and every part of his body could feel the power in his blood. At this moment, his mind, the sea of consciousness, his internal organs, his meridians, and every part of his meridians could feel the power in his blood. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for successfully fusing with the blood vein. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 100,000 experience points, 1,000 power of celestial, and 1,000 points as a special reward. Ding! System notification. Do you wish to activate the blood vein? Yes, sir. Long Fei was startled. My feelings haven't been activated just now. You can release such a powerful force without activating it. Right. Patriarch, what's the name of this refined blood vein? Long Fei asked. He really wanted to know the name of this blood vein. The Yan Huang ancestor said excitedly, "From the 9-story heaven to the netherworld kingdom, the world is unrivaled and also the most special. It is a blood vein that was created specifically for you, a devouring vein." Huh. Long Fei trembled. Devouring vein? It sounds very powerful. Yan Huang ancestor disdainfully said, "What do you mean by you look very strong?" It's very powerful. You just wait and see. Blood vein. Devouring vein level. 0 description. Currently, only 1/1000th of the blood vein has been activated. Players will constantly swallow, and the blood vein's power will continue to grow stronger. When players reach the peak realm, they can devour anything in this world and transform it into their own strength. Damn! Awesome! Long Fei looked at the description given by the blood vein, and immediately became extremely excited. Yen Huang ancestor laughed complacently. Would the blood vein I condense be weak? I have to say, brat, your luck is really good. This is the first time I have refined a blood vein, but I didn't expect it to actually succeed. Your first time? Crap. Ancestor, you're really something. I placed great hopes on you, but you said that this is your first time. This is a success. If you don't succeed, then I'll be tricked into the latrine. Long Fei said with a lingering fear in his heart. It was really close. Of course. Yen Huang ancestor was extremely serious about refining the blood vein. He had never been this serious before. He knew very well. But Chaos Realm was different. It was completely a world where a blood vein was king. If Long Fei could not fuse a blood vein before he entered the Chaos Realm, he would have no place in the Chaos Realm. Because of the blood vein, the devouring vein was also something he had considered for Long Fei in the Chaos Realm. Once he started cultivating with devouring vein, then that many holy vein, ancient blood vein, and even the stronger blood vein would only become Long Fei's blood vein's food and would be crazily devoured by him, and he would also crazily break through his shackles. Yen Huang ancestor smiled and said, "Don't talk anymore. If you don't hurry up, you will really be killed by Supreme God's move." The power of the first 9-story heaven exploded. If he did not make a move, Long Fei would really die from the explosion. Huff! Long Fei exhaled a heavy breath as the idea moved. Buzz! Long Fei activated the power of the fused devouring vein. At the same time, he kept the Zhongya gold body, and a scarlet blood mist appeared from his body. Soon after, the blood mist turned into a devil and swallowed the blood mist. Rumble! 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 Thunder boomed everywhere, and the heavens and earth were moved. The power of the first 9-story heaven's explosion became weaker and weaker. It continued to disappear, and the surrounding people were all dumbfounded. He could not understand what kind of power this was. Why did the force of the explosion disappear? Wasn't it getting stronger and stronger? Supreme God's eyes also sank as he said in shock, "Impossible, absolutely impossible." He knew better than anyone how powerful the 9-story heaven's burial force was. The power of the first 9-story heaven's explosion was so strong that no one could defend against it. Long Fei, who was merely a golden immortal rank, simply could not withstand the impact of the second 9-story heaven's explosion. Buzz! Buzz! The power continued to shrink. The power of the 9-story heaven's burial was completely devoured by Long Fei. Devouring vein. Not only could it possess the strength of a devouring vein, it could also swallow strength. Other than that, its strongest aspect was its ability to instantly release the power of devour. Long Fei slowly stood up, a cold smile hanging on his lips. He stared at Supreme God and said, "Now it's my turn, right?" Chapter 997, Crazy Crush. Chapter 997, Crazy Crush. The power of the 9-story heaven tomb had disappeared. Long Fei was completely unharmed. Everyone was stunned. Even Gu Tongtian, who was in the sky, was stunned. This kid is really incredible. Even he couldn't do that. At the same time, Gu Tongtian slightly narrowed his eyes, coldly looked at the dazed Supreme God, and faintly said in his heart, "This is good too. Hee. Long Fei. Oh, Long Fei, looks like you really are the prophet's son of the Long family. Then you can definitely become the open dragon domain." Even the power of the 9-story heaven's burial could resist it. What reason could they not believe that Long Fei was the prophet's son? He was the only possibility of the open dragon domain. Moreover, counting the time, the Dragon Clan's calamity and the Long family's calamity were separated by 3,330,000 years. But the third calamity was only a little less than 2 years away. He did not care about calamities or the relationship between the Long family, or the dragon race. What he wanted was the sacred art that would lead him to the longevity's secret world. He wanted the dragon race's lifespan that would last for tens of thousands of years. Kid, you must not disappoint me. Gutong Tian smiled slightly. The supreme god roared out, "Impossible, impossible, absolutely impossible. How can a mere cultivation of the golden, immortal rank block the power of my 9-story heavens burial? Kid, who exactly are you? Not to mention 3 years of cultivation. Even if he trained for 30 years, it would still be impossible for him to withstand this attack." Long Fei smirked and said, "I am your ancestor." Supreme God was enraged and said, "Brat, the result of being so arrogant in front of me is death." Boom. The power of the immortal realm exploded. Supreme God hacked at Xiang Longfei with his palm. "Let's see if you die or not." Angry, the golden light on Supreme God's body became even more dazzling. The boss had gone berserk, and in this state, the Supreme God's strength attack was even more ferocious. His speed was increased by all of his attributes, but the damage he could take increased as well. Rampage was a type of attack that converted defense into offense. The more powerful the attack, the weaker the defense. This was also a chance for Long Fei. Seeing that he had reached the Supreme God in the blink of an eye, Long Fei's eyes turned sinister. Yen Huang Ancestor suddenly said, "Directly in front of us, boom." The speed of the Supreme God was too fast, to the point where Long Fei was unable to see his figure clearly. He could only rely on the aura of the Yen Huang Ancestor, and upon hearing the ancestor's furious roar, Long Fei became excited. He struck out with his right palm. Boom! He threw out a palm attack. It was also at this moment that the power of the 9-story heaven that Long Fei had just swallowed exploded out. Devouring vein, absorbing and releasing powers, to be able to absorb the incomparably powerful energy through the fusion of devouring vein, and release an even more powerful energy. The devouring vein was like a chemical catalyst, and no matter what kind of energy it refined, it would be able to produce an even more powerful energy. The Supreme God had just landed. His eyes trembled. The power of the first 9-story heavens burial exploded. Supreme God also exclaimed out loud, "Impossible! This is absolutely impossible." Rumble! Rumble! The air shattered one after another. Even the power of the spatial laws of the gods' Martial Continent was about to collapse from Long Fei's attack. The power of this move was too freaking strong. Yen Huang Ancestor said complacently, "It's a must. How can the blood vein created by me, Sky Sovereign Yen Huang, not be strong?" Ha ha ha. However, Brat, don't use it carelessly. Your current devouring vein is still in an activated state and can't be fully activated. Your road of blood vein has only just started. It's the same as the killing path you cultivate. There's no turning back. Once it stops, you will be devoured. The Yen Huang Ancestor reminded. The martial arts training was originally something that defied the will of the heavens. There was no regression at all. Since that's the case, then follow me to kill them all. Long Fei roared in his heart. After the power of the 9-story heavens burial was released, a bright red number floated up above Supreme God's head. 1922321, 1 inch of damage, close to 200 million points. Long Fei himself was stupefied. He was excited about the strength of the devouring vein, and made the power of the 9-story heavens burial incomparable. At the same time, he was angry because Supreme God was really too vicious. If the power of the 9-story heavens burial were to explode, there was no chance for him to survive. "If you want me to die, Then I'll send you to hell first. While he's sick, take his life. The power of the 9-story heaven's burial had heavily injured the supreme god. 1 billion HP became 800 million HP. Long Fei took a step forward and angered the dragon Salyer, killing God Chop. A blade came down. The power of God slaying exploded outwards. Just as the knife fell, Long Fei released the second move, Dark Dragon God Slash. Another slash. The dragon Salyer withdrew. The Pan Gu axe was summoned and continued its attack. In the end, Long Fei leapt high into the air and chopped down with his axe, severing platform. Rumble! Nox smashed down with his big move. Not dead. Long Fei did not stop either. The idea moved and roared loudly. Big sword, descend for me. The sky split open. His body sank, and the ground cracked, forming a huge pit. Long Fei did not stop as his body moved. He grabbed with both of his fists, and the power of the King Kong Fury Ape exploded out, striking right at the Supreme God's head. You dare to provoke this, Daddy? This is what happens when you touch my brother. Bang, bang, bang. The damage continued to float. At the same time, Long Fei's power of celestial value was also falling crazily. He was continuously releasing techniques, and at the same time, he was not using his power of celestial value, which could not be replenished just with the fairy stone's spirit root alone. Long Fei did not care. He only had one thought in his mind, to explode Supreme God. Boom. Gravity knife. 10,000 times gravity. Boom. The saber chopped down. 9 knives force. Ashura. Swish. 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 Attacks came one after another, followed by critical hits. 10 minutes. Supreme God was completely crushed by Long Fei. He couldn't move. The Supreme God did not have any opportunity to retaliate. Long Fei's cultivation technique continued to attack in tandem, and his highest combo had already reached over 30,000. This was an incomparably terrifying existence. However, Supreme God did not die. 1 billion HP, this was simply too terrifying. Huff, huff, huff. Long Fei gasped for breath. The more than 700,000 power of celestial value points had already been completely used up. Seeing that Supreme God still had a few hundred million HP left, Long Fei swallowed his saliva and cursed in his heart. This is F*King, Invincible HP. The value of the power of Celestial S had been exhausted. Long Fei's power of celestial value dried up. It was the same as having no mana. He was no longer able to unleash his cultivation technique. However, Supreme God slowly stood up, his eyes revealing a cold intent. Chapter 998, Double Berserk, Explode. Chapter 998, Double Berserk, Explode. A 1 billion HP boss was too terrifying. Just 1 billion HP was enough to make people go crazy. But Supreme God was not the strongest boss in God's martial continent. There was still the stage elder in Outer Space Palace, and there was still the super unrivaled existence of the flying fairyland. So to what extent would their HP go up to? He glanced at Gu Tongtian, who was in the air, and thought to himself, Supreme God of the immortal realm with 1 billion HP, an elder on the stage with more than 1 billion HP. Just as Long Fei was gasping for breath. The Supreme God was gloomy and cold. He laughed sinisterly and said, Is the power of Celestial exhausted? Long Fei, go crazy again. He's here to attack me. It won't do. Ha ha ha. Supreme God laughed sinisterly. His entire body was covered in blood from being smashed by Long Fei, and his eyes were currently filled with killing intent. In the last 10 minutes, he was completely stomped by Long Fei, very unhappy. The anger in his heart was constantly accumulating. He was extremely displeased with the amount of anger in his heart. Now, when Long Fei's power of celestial was completely exhausted. No matter how strong he was, he would not be able to release it. In that case, Long Fei would be like a fish on the chopping block, able to kill anything he wanted. Supreme God walked out of the deep, whole step by step, blood dripping all over. The aura emitted from his body was extremely terrifying. The people around God Emperor Academy were all dumbstruck. They never would have thought that Supreme God would be crushed to such a state. However, Supreme God was indeed a Supreme God. Other than a few super powerhouses, no one could kill him, and no one could avoid him either. Supreme God is angry. Long Fei is going to die. I have never seen the Supreme God so angry. It's too terrifying. Gu Tong Tian could not help but worry. With the power of celestial exhausted, there was no longer any room for a backhand attack. His voice turned heavy as he said, "Supreme God, you can't kill him." The corner of Supreme God's mouth lifted as he coldly laughed. "Master, your life is more precious than anything. Do you think you can stop me?" "No one can stop me from killing him." "No one," Supreme God roared out, his expression becoming incomparably furious. After being crushed by Long Fei for exactly 10 minutes, all sorts of powerful forces exploded wildly, causing him to lose his human form. He was enraged, and his rage reached the skies, so he had to kill Long Fei, destroy Long family. He had to. With a roar, Supreme God's figure disappeared. He was afraid that Gu Tongtian would stop him. Once Gu Tongtian made a move to stop him, he would have no chance at all. The difference between a mortal realm and the flying fairyland could not be described, and the difference between heaven and earth could not be described. Thus, he had to go first. Long Fei, die. The illusory image of the Supreme God pressed down from the sky. This time, a golden sword appeared in his hand. Yan Huang ancestor immediately became excited. "Good stuff." Long Fei smirked. "Then it's mine." And then, as Long Fei looked at the rushing Supreme God, the corner of his mouth slightly curled up. He said with a smile, "I've said this before. If anyone wants to kill me, I'll make them go to hell first. Your Supreme God is the same as well ever since the day you provoked me. No, from the moment I saw you, I swore to blow you up." While they were talking, Long Fei's forehead turned sinister as he bellowed, "Hand of Noxus, descend for me. Demacia power, descend." Boom, boom. The two great sage realms' 7th stage, Holy General S descended. Summoning them did not require the consumption of power of celestial. Moreover, Long Fei doesn't have a power of celestial. Not really. He still had Xianbao Spirit Stones S, which was worth 1,000,000 each time. The reason why he did not use the turn Yanlong into God was because it was a future move, and the turn Yanlong into God had not been used in front of living people yet, so these were his last 2 trump cards. He would not easily reveal his trump card. Kill. Long Fei moved. Galen raised his great sword and took the lead to rush forward. Hand of Noxus followed, closely behind. Humph. These things that don't exist yet again, just based on them, Supreme God snorted coldly in disdain, completely disregarding Galen and Nox, being able to kill 8 great Fairy Hall Elder S. However, who is he? He was the Supreme God of the Palace Question of God. He was a supreme existence. It was impossible to kill him. However, 3 years ago, now, Nox also leveled up. Moreover, Long Fei spent an entire 3 years to craft a set of divine equipment and 6 infinity sword. Shua, a long string of damage, floated above Supreme God's head. Without waiting for him to react, Galen's big treasured sword rotated, and with a tornado-like slash, it released berserk damage. Their attack power was more than 10 times of Long Fei's, and their injuries were the same. Every single time, it was a 100% critical hit. Every time he was stunned. Supreme God was blocked. Long Fei had a complacent look on his face as he pointed at Supreme God and scolded, Come and kill me. I'm going to beat you to death today. I'm going to take your place, and you're going to fucking beat me up. So cheap. Supreme God was completely blocked by Galen and Nox. The two's teamwork had reached a perfect level. He had completely ravaged the Supreme God. Just as Supreme God wanted to attack, Galen sent AQ up, and his unfathomable cultivation technique was interrupted. Before he could even react, it was already a crippling blow, and when he tried to escape, he was pulled back with an iron hook. The key point was supercritical hit damage. The 6 of them exerted their full power. Supreme God was even more shocked after getting hit so heavily that he couldn't even react. He couldn't use his strength at all and could only get beaten up by Galen and Nox. This is the power of the 6 Infinity Sword. Ha ha ha. If it's one-on-one, perhaps they might not be a match for your Supreme God, but in the past 3 years, their coordination has reached a perfect and flawless stage. Long Fei was ecstatic in his heart. 3 years of time had not been wasted. To deal with Supreme God, they were sufficient. And Long Fei stared at the golden light on Supreme God's body. The idea moved and controlled. You can begin. Yes, sir. 5 drops of black-colored blood essence were already floating on Supreme God's body, and he had already triggered Nox's big move long ago. Receiving Long Fei's order, Nox suddenly jumped up, raised his basketball, and smashed it down with his axe. A loud sound echoed out. An extremely high damage figure floated up. Long Fei became excited and said, Galen, use your big swords to kill it. Galen's big move had a berserk attribute. If you add Long Fei's striking energy value to that, that would mean he had become even more berserk. Galen let out a loud roar. The great sword fell from the sky. Long Fei's mind tightened and said, Explode for me. Chapter 999, Supreme God Test. Chapter 999, Supreme God Test, boom. The light of justice crushed down and exploded above Supreme God's head. His body began to crack. It was chopped into 2 halves. His sea of consciousness was shattered into pieces. A string of damage values appeared above his head. 6 endless. Such a great sword with a critical hit. I'm just asking if you're strong or not. I'm asking you, who else could it be? The system sounded out. Long Fei's mind tightened and immediately said, Release your striking energy value. 100 striking value, S disappeared. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for violently killing Supreme God for obtaining 1 million points of experience points, 280,000 points of power of Celestial S, and 10 points of energy values. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Tomb of the 9-Story Heaven. Do you wish to cultivate it? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Ancient Golden Sword. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Meteorite Immortal Root. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Heaven's Wheel Immortal Root. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Heavenly Demon Root. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the power of Heavenly Fate. You wish to fuse it? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 12,031 immortal crystals. Congratulations, player. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining a special reward for killing Supreme God. The reward is Holy Artillery 2. The notification rang like crazy, an existence that could overturn the heavens. Long Fei was ecstatic. Berserk is berserk. Exploding will make me feel good. All these things are too sharp. Even the ancient golden sword was blown out. Huh. Wait. Ancestor, my ancient golden sword, can you? I, you, your sister. Before Long Fei could react, the ancient golden sword was engulfed by the Yen Huang ancestor. He did not even know what its attribute was. Too bitter. Yen Huang ancestor laughed slyly and said, after I absorb all of the sword's power, if my cultivation can take another step, my remnant soul can reform and reunite. Hee hee. Boy, this golden sword is of no use to you. Useless. Let me take a look as well. Can you not act like this? Long Fei said bitterly, the only weapon. Without even taking a single glance at it, Long Fei's liver was trembling. The pain was extremely unbearable. Yen Huang ancestor said, next time, go F *** K your sister. Although Long Fei only complained on the surface that the ancient golden sword had been eaten, he did not blame Yen Huang ancestor at all. If he heard that the Yen Huang ancestor could reunite his residual soul, then the patriarch's strength would definitely receive a huge boost. The instant Long Fei killed the supreme god, Gu Tongtian frowned, but at the same time, a powerful energy absorbed the primordial spirit of the supreme god. His consciousness shattered, and his primordial spirit left his body. Gu Tongtian laughed coldly in his heart. Hee hee. And then, without waiting for everyone to react, Gu Tongtian immediately announced, from now on, Long Fei is Palace Question of God. As soon as his voice faded, the entire God Emperor city was shaken. She also woke up from the shock of Long Fei killing the Supreme God. Supreme God was killed by Long Fei? Oh my God, what happened just now? Long Fei of the Golden Immortal rank killed the Supreme God of the Immortal Realm. That is the supreme powerhouse of the Immortal Domain. Why? Why? Amidst the shock, another voice followed. Long live Long Fei. Mad Dragon, Mad Dragon, Mad Dragon. Their voices slowly spread out from one place. And in the end, all the people of the God Emperor City shouted the two words, Wild Dragon, especially the warriors of the young generation. Their blood boiled, and they roared hysterically. Long Fei was their idol, their hero. All of the Fairy Hall, Elder, kneeled down. The students of God Emperor Academy also followed suit and kneeled, and said in unison, we pay our respects to Supreme God. Long Fei, the current Ji-Zun of the Palace Question of God. A bit of a breakthrough. However, Long Fei could not be considered a sovereign of the Palace Question of God, because the Palace Question of God had always been controlled by Gu Tongtian, even when the Supreme God was still in power. The Supreme God was just a chess piece for Gu Tongtian. Gu Tongtian smiled, faintly. Long Fei congratulates you. Long Fei's mouth curved up as he looked at Gu Tongtian, who was high up in the sky. The golden light was glaring, and it covered the sky. Gu Tongtian said, you are now the sovereign king of the Hall of Immortals. You can command the immortal domain, and you can obtain everything in the immortal domain. You are the representative of the immortal domain. However, Gu Tongtian said, there is a test even for Supreme Goddess, and only those who pass it can be considered to be the real Supreme God, and only those who have passed the test can be considered to be the true masters of immortal domain. Test? Bullshit. There was no such thing as a test. This was something that Gu Tongtian had forced. Long Fei did not reveal any expression, but he knew what was going on clearly in his heart. At the moment, he had no way to deal with Gu Tongtian, and Galen and Nox were not even a match for him. He might not even be able to handle one of Gu Tongtian's attacks. The difference in levels was too great. At this time, he couldn't go head-to-head with Gu Tongtian. Moreover, his name was yellow, and he hadn't reached the stage where he could attack at any time. Long Fei laughed. What test is it? Gu Tongtian said. It's a test. You should know that the Magic Tribe's million-strong army is pressing on. Your test is to resist the million-strong army of the Magic Tribe, right? You cannot use any God Emperor Academy S. As for the people of Palace Question of God, you can only rely on yourself. F*CK. Just as Gu Tongtian finished speaking, Long Fei cursed angrily. The reason why he killed the Supreme God was so he could become the head of the immortal domain. It was to order the various families and powers to fight against the Magic Tribe's army. But with just a single sentence from Gu Tongtian, his plans were shattered. This move was too ruthless. Gu Tongtian hit the snake until it was 7 inches away, directly hitting Long Fei's vitals. Gu Tongtian's voice sunk, and every corner of the God Emperor city heard his voice. And he said, "This is a test for the new Supreme God. So if he passes the test, he will be the #1 expert of the immortal domain. I do not wish for anyone to help him during this test, and you are not helping him, but harming him." Another ruthless blow. It directly forced Long Fei into a dead end. Break all his possibilities. He wanted to become one of the S, but now, nothing. And the people of God Emperor City, who did not know the truth, would only treat this as a test for Long Fei and would not go against the Magic Tribe's army. Too vicious. He had to say it. Gu Tongtian was cunning. His few words were even sharper than the attacks of super-powerful moves. He directly forced Long Fei to the edge of the cliff. So what if he killed Supreme God? He would get nothing. He had to rely on himself to fight against the million-strong army of the Magic Tribe. He was simply courting death. Chapter 1000, Reaching Long Fei's Bottom Line. Chapter 1000, Reaching Long Fei's Bottom Line. Long Fei was very unhappy. Anger raged. Initially, he thought he could replace the Supreme God S and do whatever he wanted or control all the forces within the God Emperor city. Everything that he had imagined had been shattered by Gu Tongtian's test. Although he had won over Supreme God, he had lost in a complete and utter mess. With just a few words, he defeated Long Fei. This was the powerhouse. He was an old monster who had lived for more than 400 years. Against such an old monster, even if Long Fei had 10 heads, it still wouldn't be enough. Who is Gu Tongtian, Gu Wuji's ancestor? How could he tolerate his own juniors being bullied? Although Supreme God had not satisfied him these past few years, he was still his direct disciple. If his disciple was killed in front of him, wasn't that just slapping his face? How could he let Long Fei have it easy? Long Fei roared in his heart. Gu Tongtian, you old bastard, just you wait, I'll definitely blow your ass. Long Fei smiled slightly and said, I accept the test. Very good. With a smug look in his eyes, Gu Tongtian said, You've passed the test. You're the supreme god, but if you don't pass the test, Long Fei asked, So what if I can't pass? Gu Tongtian's voice became cold and sinister. If you can't pass, not only will you not become the supreme god, you will also have to take responsibility for the crimes you committed, killing the supreme god and disturbing the order within the immortal domain. Long Fei's expression changed slightly as he said, You want to dig a hole for me to jump in? Gu Tongtian said, Then don't jump. Do you have a choice? Does your Fengyuan Business Alliance have a choice? Does your Nantian region have a choice? Does your Long family have a choice? Long Fei, you have no choice, understand? I am not the supreme god, and my methods are not something that a soft and indecisive person like the supreme god could think of. Gu Tongtian's voice sounded within Long Fei's sea of consciousness. It was very plain. It did not cause a single ripple in Long Fei's sea of consciousness. This was a super powerhouse. Long Fei's eyes turned sinister. You're threatening me? Gu Tongtian said with a bland smile, You can treat this as a threat, or you can consider my words as motivation. You can only follow the path that I have set for you. You touched the Nantian region? Long Fei's eyes turned sinister. His nerves tensed up. Everything else was fine, but the people of the Nantian region. Whoever touched them would die. Long Fei would risk everything to fight. The moment he spoke, Long Fei connected the idea to the Xianbao spirit stones and was ready to release the turn Yanlong into God at any time. Gu Tongtian smiled faintly and said, Nantian region is still Nantian region, and Long family is still Long family. Your brothers, your family are still your family, but if you don't listen, then they will all disappear. Or not. If he wanted to do it, he had to do it all. Gu Tongtian was such a person. Ever since Long Fei entered the immortal domain, he had been making preparations. After Long Zhanting, he had always paid attention to the Long family. Long Fei was the first person, other than Long Zhanting, to enter the God Emperor Academy in the past 100 years. Whether he was the prophet's son or not, he did not dare to be sure in the past. He was sure that Long Fei was the prophet's son. He definitely can make it to Open Dragon Domain. Long Fei glared and said, Gu Tongtian, explain yourself clearly. Did you touch my family or not? If you don't listen to me, they will disappear. If you listen to me obediently, I guarantee that they will be very safe, your grandfather and Crazy Long, your maids, Jojo, the leopard girl, and Lu Luoshi. I guarantee that nothing will happen to your 4 great King Kong brothers. Cluck, 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 cluck. With the sound of joints popping, he clenched his fists. The anger in Long Fei's heart continued to erupt, and his mind was filled with intense killing intent. Yan Huang ancestor immediately said worriedly, Brat, calm down. Nothing has happened to them yet. You have to calm down. Long Fei was not stupid. Anger raged in his heart, but he did not lose his mind. On the contrary, he was incomparably calm. In that instant, Long Fei's fists loosened, and his face revealed a smile that resembled the death god's. Very good. Gu Tongtian smiled slightly. Be good, understand? Be good and listen. Your family is fine. Ha ha ha. Gu Tongtian's wild laughter resounded in Long Fei's sea of consciousness. And then he said in a loud voice, Let us wait for the birth of the new supreme god. Ha ha. Laughter rang out. Even the God Emperor city was cheering. At the same time, Gu Tongtian said, Fairy Hall Elder, listen up. All of you understand Outer Space Palace. Long Fei, you better not disappoint me. Gu Tongtian revealed a playful smile. What kind of existence was Long Fei in his eyes? It was just a pawn. He could play however he wanted. This was what he wanted. Gu Tongtian led the many Fairy Hall Elder and left. Long Fei stood where he was without moving, with bloodshot eyes. The killing intent in his eyes was extremely strong, and he enunciated each word clearly. Those who touch my family die. At this moment, Fat Man Chun and the others felt excited, because Long Fei had killed Supreme God. However, when they saw the murderous look in the great Long Fei's eyes, what if the demon beast attacks? Their expressions 3 days immediately changed. What about the million-strong magic tribe army? Long Fei fell into a desperate situation. It's nothing. All of a sudden, let's talk when we get back. Right now, it was the plan had been messed up by Gu Tongtian. What made Long Fei the most unhappy was not this, but the Nantian region's family members. He had always been worried that something would happen to the Nantian region, but he never thought that it was the palace question of God who would make a move on his family members. Moving against his family was something he hated the most. The flames of fury burned. It burned furiously. However, Long Fei didn't say anything. A outer space palace, forbidden region, in a golden pond. Gu Tongtian stood in midair and closed his eyes. Suddenly, all sorts of ancient runes appeared in the air above his body. The runes were like snakes that were poured into the golden pond. Following that, a burst of primordial spirit energy flooded in. Gu Tongtian's eyes opened wide, and he shouted out, God Lake of Soul return, condense your flesh. Open. At this moment, a new body was slowly being reconstructed. 2 hours later, his eyes slowly opened and looked at Gu Tongtian, who was at the side of the divine pond. There was excitement and incomparable respect in his eyes, and he said, Disciple pays his respects to Master, Supreme God, Resurrection. Gu Tongtian smiled, faintly. In another place. Midnight. God Emperor Mountain. Halfway up the mountain. Long Fei said heavily, Presbyter Chiu, let's begin. I want to enter the God Emperor Fairyland again. Chapter 1001. I want to blast God Emperor Fairyland. Chapter 1001. I want to blast God Emperor Fairyland returning to the Nantian region. Long Fei didn't have time. As long as he returned to the Nantian region, now, he would have no choice but to give up the city attack. He would fail, and all 50 of his god's martial sect members would be killed. He couldn't leave. Furthermore, Gu Tongtian would not let him leave that easily. Stay in the God Emperor Academy to fight against the monsters and the magic tribe's army? With Long Fei's current cultivation and current level, he was simply too weak. If he was really by himself, then he really wouldn't be able to hold on. 3 more days. The only thing he could do was to try his best to level up and break through. Long Fei was forced to a dead end. In such a desperate situation, he had no other choice. Presbyter Chiu, here are 2 Yuan CNS with immortal roots. Take them. Long Fei took out the immortal foundation that erupted from Supreme God's body. He kept one for himself, then said, I will stay inside for 3 days. Tell Sister Yunshan to prepare as many immortal crystals as possible. With that, Long Fei turned and entered the God Emperor Fairyland. S body was engulfed by the light and entered secret world, a outer space palace in the deity's lake. He was still slowly recovering in the divine pond. His primordial spirit was absorbed by Gu Tongtian, and before he died, he didn't enter the reincarnation hell, but rather was directly injected into the divine pond. Thus, his primordial spirit knew what happened after he died. Master, when did you send someone to the Nantian region? Supreme God was a little doubtful. Gu Tongtian had been cultivating in the forbidden grounds the entire time, and didn't have the time to send anyone to the Nantian region. Gu Tongtian laughed faintly. Nantian region? I didn't send anyone. Huh. The Supreme God was startled, and after being silent for a few seconds, he came to a realization and said, Expert Master, This way Long Fei will think that you have kidnapped his family. He will completely follow your orders, just like how he used to control Long Zhanting. Master is wise. Ha ha ha. Gu Tongtian laughed complacently and said, although force is important, force is more important. Other than that, although I have not sent anyone to Nantian region, but Nantian region had been in trouble for a long time now, and I believe Long Fei sensed it too. It's also because he was restricted by me this way. His soldiers did not send anyone to the Nantian region. Of course, he also did not put the Nantian region in his eyes at all. As long as he was willing, he could crush Nantian region within minutes. Supreme God's eyes turned cold, and he said, "You didn't send anyone to Nantian region? How could something happen to the Nantian region? In the 5 great regions of Immortal Domain, could it be that there is some other force that wants to make a move against the Nantian region? Master, could it be Song Qiancheng from Dark Domain? Very strange. Immortal Domain was the closest to Nantian region. Since Gu Tongtian didn't attack, then how did something happen to Nantian region?" Gu Tongtian slightly said, "God's martial continent. 5 great regions, Nantian region's Dragon Salyer, Immortal Domain's Zhuge Sword, Dark Domain's Hell Wheel, Dragon Domain's Sky-Burning Dragon Gun. Other thing, do you know what this holy artifact is? Savage Domain was unknown. It could be said that it rarely appeared in everyone's line of sight. Very few people dared to set foot in the Savage Domain. It was as if the god's martial continent did not exist. When Gu Tongtian asked this question, the supreme god was stunned because he actually did not know what the Savage Domain's holy artifact were. After so many years, the 5 great holy artifact had already disappeared for millions of years. The Dragon Salyer also only appeared because of Long Fei's appearance. Zhuge Sword, after it shattered, it never appeared again. As for Dark Domain's Hell's Wheel, it had never appeared in tens of millions of years. The 5 holy artifacts were still a legend. As for Savage Domain's holy artifact, no one mentioned them, nor did anyone remember to bring them up. Supreme God said, "I have never stopped talking about Savage Domain's holy artifact. Master, what exactly is it?" Gu Tongtian's gaze tightened and said indifferently, "Savage Domain's holy artifact is a door." The Supreme God asked, "A door? What kind of holy artifact is that?" Gu Tongtian said, "It's a teleportation gate, and during teleportation, the gate is connected to another dimension. It is the holy artifact that has been guarded by the Savage Domain for tens of thousands of years, and no one knows about this anymore. I am not sure if the accident in the Nantian region is caused by the Savage Domain. If the Master of the Wilderness really opens the gate and the outer space powerhouse enters, maybe." Gu Tongtian did not continue. Moreover, he did not really care about these things, as what he cared about was when Long Fei would be able to enter Open Dragon Domain, and this was what he was concerned about. As for the life and death of the Nantian region, who cares what the hell? He only used the Nantian region to control Long Fei. It was that simple. "Recover your strength as soon as possible. I have something I need you to do," Gu Tongtian commanded. The reason he saved Supreme God was because of his strength. Level 1. He could be considered a top-notch powerhouse. There were many things that Gu Tongtian could use on him. Supreme God immediately replied, "Yes, disciple. Master, a 1,000,000-strong magic tribe army is suppressing the border. Are you really going to let Long Fei block it all by himself?" Gu Tongtian said, "Of course, he will definitely fail if this is the case, and he won't be able to become Palace Question of God's Supreme God, so he will understand how weak he is, and then I will use Nantian region to threaten him, and I believe that I can definitely force his potential out, and will definitely be able to find Dragon Tail Tomb. Man's potential is limitless. The potential of the people of the Long family is limitless and limitless. He wanted to completely expel all of Long Fei's potential, because only then would he be able to find the dragon domain, in the God Emperor Fairyland. Ding! Do you wish to absorb the heavenly demon root? Fuse. The first thing Long Fei did after stepping into the God Emperor Fairyland was do his own blend of fairy vein, because these powerhouse in the God Emperor Fairyland's tombs started from his level. The higher his level was, the stronger the powerhouse S would be, and the more experience points they would have. This was the key point. Long Fei needed experience, a large amount of experience to level up. 3 days. He had to become extremely strong. He was currently at the peak of the Golden Immortal Realm, and with his own strength, if he met with the powerhouse of the Immortal Realm, he would only end up being oppressed, even if he were to fuse with a devouring vein now. If not for the outburst of Galen and Nox, he wouldn't have been able to kill Supreme God at all. To become stronger, leveling up was the only way. Buzz. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei Blend of Fairy Vein for succeeding. In this instant, the experience points that had been accumulated in Long Fei's slots were poured out like a flood. Ding, ding. For consecutive notifications sounded. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. 3 billion experience points, and he's only leveled up to level 4. F***ck me. Long Fei muttered in his heart. Clenching his fists tightly, he looked at the powerhouse's tomb that filled the entire world. I want to destroy God Emperor Fairyland. Chapter 1002, Life or Death. Chapter 1002, Life or Death. God Emperor Fairyland was a very special secret world. It revolves around the rule of encountering strong and weak. Last time, Long Fei was only a virtual immortals stage, so the powerhouse that came out of the grave was also a virtual immortals stage. Now, the God Emperor Fairyland's graveyard of gods had returned to its previous position. Just like the system update, Long Fei's current level was at the 4th stage of the Yuan Xian, so the powerhouse that came out was also at the 4th stage of the Yuan Xian S, God Emperor Fairyland. If you can't do it in one try, it will be refreshed. Boom. The grave of the powerhouse was broken apart as it rushed out with the same realm as Long Fei, a 4th stage Yuan Xian. Long Fei muttered to himself. As expected, it's the same as what I thought. Kill. The dragon salure in Long Fei's hand moved and slashed forward. After a few moves, after being brutally killed by Long Fei, the system sounded out. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Powerhouse for obtaining 35,000 experience, 50 power of celestial, and 1 energy values. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for triggering Opening God Emperor Fairyland quest. Mission. Clear up God Emperor Fairyland level. SS reward. Level +1. All skills +1. Power of celestial value +1,000,000 points +100,000. acquired special power, reward. Time. One time cannot be repeated. Punishment. Unable to connect to God, Emperor Fairyland. Unable to leave. Or born. Or die. Long Fei said without any hesitation, I accept. In such a desperate situation, did he have a choice? No. There was only one way to break out of this predicament, and that was to crush everything. Huff. Gravity Troll. Come out. Rumble. The Gravity Troll walked out of thin air with a giant mace in its hand and knelt down on one knee. A powerhouse said loudly, Master. Long Fei said, cut the crap, turn over all of these tombs. You're courting death. The Gravity Troll powerhouse bellowed out in anger. As you command, crush do you want to crush the grave and release those powerhouse life forms? Countless powerhouse. Do you want me to kill them all? At Xian Use your gravity densely to crush these tombs. And overwhelming. Long Fei held the Gravity Troll's gravitational tightly and did not retreat. Could make the surroundings lose its gravitational rushed force up to it and could also increase it by thousands. The Gravity Troll even tens of thousands of times the gravity. Lamo. Yes, sir. Boom. The Gravity Troll's brows twitched, rumbled, and the gravitational force on its body began to burn. All the powerhouse 100,000 times gravity in an instant. Lamo walked out from the void. A blast wave of energy flames shot out. It's finally my turn to show off my might. As far as the eye could see, the entire tomb had been smashed open. Long Fei leaped up, and after another burst out, smashing onto the top of Lamo's head. In less than half a minute, shouted out, the sky was filled with people. They were large people stronger appeared on Lamo's head. You juniors actually dared to barge. It's not even good for me to become cocky for a while. And it's easy for me to unlock the earth-binding seal. Not waiting for him to finish. Long Fei smashed his fist down onto the bag with incomparable accuracy, causing another small bump to swell up on top of the big lump. Master, I can't act cocky anymore. I can't act cocky. I'm going to fight. I'm going to attack. Lamo had a bitter look on his face. The giant demon and earth demon gloated and said at the same time, Serves you right. Long Fei shouted, Everyone be serious. Whoever dares to be cocky, I will break their little JJ. The three devil chrysanthemum tightened and did not dare to say another word. Blast it for me. Long Fei frowned. The attacks of the powerhouse were about to weaken. If he did not kill them, then the dead one would be Long Fei. At this time, Lamo did not dare to be careless. The aura on his body churned, and streaks of lightning filled his entire body. Lightning cut. Buzz. Lamo's body sank, and the lightning power within his body shot out from his chest like a beam of light, like a halo of light. He was unable to resist, and at that moment, time seemed to have stopped as the powerhouses who were charging overfroze in midair. Next, Walala, Walala. A series of explosions sounded out. His body was struck by the lightning, and he was cut in half. Not a single powerhouse within a few hundred meters had survived, as they were all slashed to death. Thousands of powerhouse instantly killed. Seeing this scene, Long Fei had to admit that his scalp felt a little numb, and at the same time, he was extremely excited. That's a piece of cake, isn't it? The seal was undone. The bindings on Lamo's body all disappeared. Moreover, in this period of time, his power had undergone special transformations and become even more powerful. As if the system beep had exploded, Long Fei's eardrums were about to shatter from the shock. With a roar, he said, Awesome, this is the rhythm. Keep going. Ha ha. Boss, this thunder slash should be amazing, right? Lamo was smug again. Without waiting for him to finish speaking, the earth demon disdainfully said, What? Now you're awesome for undoing the seal, right? Boss, let me out and let this bastard experience my power. Lamo immediately said, Big bro earth demon, give me some face. I just got on the stage. Shouldn't you at least let me have another go? I still have a big move that I haven't used yet. The Earth Demon said, You call that little strength of yours a big move? Don't take it out and make a fool of yourself. Just watch me. The giant demon's hammer shook as he said, Earth Demon, are you that awesome? Table of contents. He could restrain Lei Mo, but he was very afraid of the gravity troll. His power of Earth would become useless due to the gravity. And the Earth Demon said in a speechless manner, All right, you go first. Longface shouted, Stop wasting your breath on me. Go at me together. Release all of your major moves and powers for me. Yes, sir. Boss, I can't wait any longer. Ha ha ha. Kill them all. Chapter 1003, Demon Beast Assembling. Chapter 1003, Demon Beast Assembling. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Powerful energy constantly exploded in the air above the God Emperor city, as if the sky had split open. It was the same underground as the unceasingly brutal roars of Demon Beast. It was as if the hell's ferocious beasts were trying to break out of their cages, and out of hell, in the sky, in the depths of the earth, an evil force was brewing and getting closer to the surface. In the depths of the mountain range, there were many demon beast armies gathered. Demon beasts were gathering. The people of the God Emperor city were afraid all day, because all of this felt like the end of the world. The demon beasts' heart throbbed. The suppression of the million-strong army of the magic tribe had caused the number one city of the gods' martial continent to be in a precarious situation. They all knew about the magic tribe's great army pressuring the land, but what with the devastation of the demon beast, the howls from the depths of hell, and the roars from the sky, they did not know that the God Emperor city was about to be attacked by monsters. Not only were there demon beasts on God's martial continent, there were also some extremely strong beasts. God Emperor city, God's Phoenix Pavilion. Everyone gathered in the small courtyard. Qiu Wandao said, There are still 2 days until Long Fei comes out of seclusion. Within these 2 days, we need to make all the preparations. At first, they didn't know what Long Fei was worried about other than a million-strong army. Now they knew. They wanted to make the best preparations and waited for Long Fei to come out from closed-door cultivation. Fu Shishan said, We have already gathered 100,000 death-sworn, and we have prepared 100,000 immortal crystals for Long Fei. Song Qianqian said, I have also contacted the people from Dark Domain, and they have agreed to help. Aoya replied, Those students who left the God Emperor Academy also agreed to help out. Everyone voiced out their opinions. Fat Men Chen said, Gu Tongtian's move is too ruthless. What Supreme God's test? It is simply dog shit. This is making things difficult for Boss. Originally, after Boss killed off Supreme God's influence, he was suddenly beaten back to his original state. Not only that, all the warriors who were stunned were all looking forward to Long Fei passing the test by himself. Qiu Wandao said, saying all these now is already useless. We just have to do our own thing. Waiting for Long Fei to come out from closed-door cultivation. Western Desel Territory. Master, the Magic Tribe's army will be able to withstand my attacks in 2 days. At that time, the God Emperor city will be reduced to dust. Zhou Lai said excitedly. He was the great general of the Immortal Domain, and under his lead, the army of the Magic Tribe advanced quickly. However, he didn't meet any decent opponents along the way. He was looking forward to his battle with the God Emperor city. The master of Magic Tribe slightly nodded his head. We'll follow your plan, but we have to be careful of everything. Do not underestimate the Immortal Domain. Its true power has yet to be unleashed. Zhou Lai said complacently, Don't worry, Master. I will definitely be careful. As long as Palace Question of God's Powerhouse does not attack, no one in Immortal Domain will be able to stop my Magic Tribe's army. Immortal domain is just a pile of sand. It's useless. Right. Master, I heard the cries of all sorts of strange beasts around God Emperor City yesterday. They came from the sky, the hell, and the deep mountains and marshes. The demon beast from all the great mountains are gathering crazily for some reason. This is something that hasn't happened in God's martial continent before. Zhou Lai couldn't understand. Furthermore, all of the gathered demon beast are charging towards the God Emperor City this time. Could it be that the demon beast also realized that the immortal domain is in danger now and wanted to take advantage of the time when he is sick to take his life? Will the demon beast race rise again? Are the demon beast gathering? Master of Magic Tribe tensed up. This was the first time he had heard of such a thing. Moreover, deep underground, within the void. Why is that? This sign was very strange. Zhou Lai saw that Master of Magic Tribe was also frowning and could not help but ask, "Don't tell me Monster Army is here for us? Could it be that there are people in immortal domain who can still summon and control demon beasts?" Master of Magic Tribe shook his head. That shouldn't be the case. Monster Army taking advantage of this time to enter. There is only one reason. Their goal is also God Emperor City. Ha ha ha. Zhou Lai laughed excitedly and said, "Even if Palace Question of God intervenes now, I won't be able to protect them. These Monster Army are simply the perfect cannon fodder, and I still want to think of a way to break through the city. It looks like I don't have to worry at all now. Master, in 3 days, you will be able to personally visit God Emperor City and stand on equal footing with him. You will be able to share all of God's martial continent's cultivation resources." Ha! Zhou Lai became excited as the image of Song Qianqian appeared in his mind. At that time, "You will become Zhou Lai's woman," the Master of Magic Tribe said slightly. "This time, the one fighting against the Magic Tribe's army is Long Fei. You have to be careful of one person. Long Fei." The last battle on the walls of the demon region had caused him to lose all face in front of Song Qianqian. The current him was completely different from 3 years ago, and this time he would definitely trample Long Fei to death. Absolutely. Zhou Lai's forehead turned sinister as he thought to himself, "Long Fei, I hope that you won't disappoint me, or you'll be crushed by just one round. You want to steal my woman? You are worthy of being a trash. Outer Space Palace, Hall of Immortals. Gu Tong Tian sat on the seat of the Supreme God. Dozens of elders in the hall whispered to each other. How strange. This has never happened before. What is it? Even the Outer Space Palace was severely affected. The nature's spirit energy is obviously thinner than it was a few days ago, as though it was sucked dry. What exactly is the monster roaring in the sky? Could it be the domain beast that devoured everything? Damn, don't scare me like that. Domain beast can devour planes. If it comes out of nowhere, do you think we will still be alive? Domain beast, a magical beast that devoured space, an incomparably powerful existence. The things that happened around God Emperor City yesterday had caused the elders of the Outer Space Palace to feel fear in their hearts. After all, it was the first time they had ever heard of it. Even Gu Tong Tian was the same. He had never seen anything like this before. It was too strange. The demon beast in the sky, and the demon beast deep underground. What kind of demon beast were they exactly? At this moment, a star spirit messenger descended into the Hall of Immortals and said, reporting to the Grand Elder, "We did not find Long Fei. He has completely disappeared." Huh. Gu Tongtian's heart tightened. It disappeared. Could it really be that kid's doing? Long Fei could not be found in the Great Void Mirror. His aura could not sense Long Fei. Suddenly, Long Fei seemed to have vanished from the face of the earth. One of the elders said, Great clan elder. Could it be that all of this is caused by Long Fei? This kid has always been quite strange. Maybe it's really him. Gu Tongtian frowned and said coldly, Long Fei, it seems like my warning to you isn't enough. You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.